Well, hello everybody. Welcome to week number 5. My name is Rigel, and tonight I'm joined by Blue Panda and Light Rose, and we are going to be bringing you some action tonight. Only one match, but it's still going to be a phenomenal one. It's going to be between Pryde and Visionary. So, guys, welcome back. We are at that critical near halfway point of the season. So, what are your guys' thoughts so far, especially about our match tonight?
Well, coming into it, it's a battle for fifth. Well, it's currently of fifth and sixth. Both teams sitting very, very close on the leaderboard at the moment. It's just Visionary edging out that advantage. We've seen a lot of interesting things from both teams. Pryde, I don't think we necessarily, behind the scenes expected them to be sitting quite in this position. There was some players coming into this that we expected to be sitting middle of the pack. Pryde wasn't necessarily one of them, but great showing from them so far. They've given a lot of teams a run for their money. And coming into this, I mean, it's Visionary. We've seen some big stuff from them as well. This is going to be a very, very telling match.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was talking about it that both of these teams have played Wichita Wolves, and this is a team that they won last season, and they only recently lost their first regular season match in about a season, and that was to Visionary. And Pryde barely lost their coastline and then just absolutely got wiped on Oregon. So I think that is mostly the main difference between these teams. Both of them have really played the more bottom tier teams on the standings, but it's these kind of tougher matchups that have decided where they're standing. And right now, Visionary's win over Wichita Wolves is kind of what gives them that advantage here.
I would say so, guys. I mean, when you look at it here, I think this match is sort of going to determine who is going to potentially stay in the playoff running and who might drop out into that 6th and 7th place spot, honestly. Because whoever wins tonight pretty much cements themselves for the week, and then whoever doesn't has the opportunity to be usurped by a couple of those teams that are right on the cusp of having those 4 map wins or 5 map wins in order to progress that. So, but looking at history-wise right now, I mean, Pryde's coming off of a 2-0 loss in last week. I believe that was against In Control. And then, I mean, Visionary coming off the huge win against Wichita Wolves. So it's looking a little bit towards Visionary's favor, but it's too soon to count them out. I mean, Pryde have been making changes recently. They've been coming back stronger and stronger every week, I would say. So we'll see.
Yeah, not to mention, like, you've got this Visionary roster. There are a bunch of very, very young gunners, the likes of Slasher. I believe it's Badger as well. They're both 15, 16, and very, very, very solid at the game. So the longer they stick together as a team, the better they are going to become. I know there's been some scheduling issues. We talked to Panic a couple of weeks back, and it's just been a struggle to get dedicated practice time for them. So there is that potential that could work against Visionary here. Pryde, from what I can tell, have been working together rather consistently over the last couple of weeks. So it might be a case of just not enough preparation coming out of Visionary and plenty of preparation coming out of Pryde that could provide a win going their way. But very, very capable gunners. We know the team on the side of Visionary can clutch up. They can go absolutely massive. Slasher, if you get him on that Zofia on the attack, absolute powerhouse, a real force to be reckoned with. We've seen Abadu as well, able to clutch up in some key situations on that Visionary roster. So there's a lot of potential, especially with Panic as well, that the IGL for the team. If he's given the room to work, if he is able to do what he does best, which is lurk on the defense, go for those big flank kills on the attack, there's a lot of potential upsets that could happen. We saw the counter coming for them the other week, though. They shut down Panic consistently, made it that much harder for him to operate. So it's really going to be on Visionary. Can they get him that freedom to operate, let him do what he does best, and then start to string some rounds together off the back of it?
Yeah, Blue, I definitely like the way Visionary's been going with their team here. They've been making some changes. I think they finally settled on exactly who they want on their roster. They picked back up Pixel, I do believe, and they're sort of getting that ironed out. But at the time being, we have Pryde going on right now, and this is a very strong roster in terms of mechanical skill as well. I mean, as you know, here in SCS, if you have above a 1.0 rating, you are very much above average, and that is, for the most part, consistent with everything that Pryde has to offer. And Dylan, he's the hard support player. He still has that really high cost rating, so it's just the kill sort of holding him back a little bit, but don't count that against him. But then you have Rizzard, who is an absolute monster of an entry. He runs the suppressor on the Zofia, of all things, and he manages to get kills with it. He's silent but deadly, and he's got the 1.07 rating. And look at that, 15-7 on the entries. That is just godlike. But Rose, do you see anything else that sticks out to you with this roster here?
I mean, they're just averagely above average. And I think in terms of stats, that's really where you want to sit. And I think another person to mention possibly is Oni. Oni really is in a little bit of Rizer's shadow, but they're still able to absolutely make a name for themselves, showing up on the scoreboard. And those Gunners are a reason why Pryde is just somehow staying in the middle of the scoreboard.
I would have to agree with you there. Honestly, I know that the way it's been so far in this season is that if a team has consistently the majority of their players at or above that 1.0 level, they're going to have a positive round differential. And positive round differential this season has shown itself to mean wins, like huge wins here. Because sometimes you might have a positive round differential, but you know, you might have lost a couple maps here and there, but it's pulling up, and that's exactly what you need to see here from these teams. And we already talked a little bit about Visionary. Blue was kind enough to give us some insight, especially onto Panic, who is again a monster on his entries. I mean, he's getting involved in so much in every round. He's either going to be the opening kill or the opening death, and that's been very, very beneficial for his team as well. Jimmy, still new to the roster. I believe he's only played on one series, so he's sort of just warming up to the idea. But we'll give him a chance here in this one and seeing if he's going to be able to sort of pick up his kills and get that rating up higher here and match the rest of his team.
Yeah, this Visionary roster, like I said, young guns, a lot of experience going to be coming their way as they progress further into the season and then going ahead in the coming months. But you look at the stats that they're already being put. Slash, he's 13-2 in terms of opening gunfights. He excels in the attack when he's given Zofia. The man just goes absolutely wild. Defense, it's a little bit hit or miss for him. Especially, actually, it's largely hit or miss for the whole team. You know, they either go absolutely insane or they just get completely shut down. It really comes down to that entry frag, whether it goes their way, whether it's onto Panic as well. We saw in a couple of the last couple of series that they've played, it really has become a question of not can they contest around. It's whether Panic goes down early, and from there can they contest around, because if he's one of the first players to die on the team, it starts to look a bit dire. And I think it's one of the reasons that they are sitting in this position. And fifth, they're an incredibly volatile roster. If they don't find those openings, if they don't find those opportunities, they are going to struggle to get rounds on the board.
Yeah, opening kills have really been another indicator here of really strong players and really prolific rosters so far in this season. I mean, just look at emergence as well. When you turn on your entry fraggers in that team as well, in particular, they really come out of the woodworks and they start following up with more kills and round wins. And that's exactly what got them into 7th place last week right now. So we'll have to see them later on, as that match did get rescheduled between them and the Wichita Wolves, the rematch of the century between last season's semifinal. So definitely don't miss that one. It's going to be on December 1st. More details to follow on that. But tonight, we're again looking at Pryde and Visionary. So as you can see, both these teams, they're on the cusp of being knocked out from potential playoff contention. I know the season's still early, but I think this is really the critical point. So Rose, what do you think these teams really need to do here to solidify themselves in? Because I think it's going to be one or the other. So what would you say is going to be the key?
I think, having casted both of these teams a little bit more than once, I think for Visionary, it really comes down to just playing that strengths. If there's one weakness that Pryde has, it's that they really can't execute these default strats as well as other teams. I know I look back to the Wichita Wolves versus Pryde on Oregon. It's a map that's extremely strat heavy, and if I remember correctly, we are going to be going to Oregon in this series, and that is just a map that Pryde has not looked well on. So that is something that Visionary will be able to really take control of.
Well, I don't know. I might have to disagree with you a little bit on that one. If we look back all the way to week number 1 versus Hostile Actions, that was the map where they came in absolutely bonkers, and I believe they won that at a margin of, I think it was, you're going to have to kick me here if I'm wrong, but I think it was 7-3, and that was the map where we had a pretty much insta-plant within like the first 30 seconds, followed up by an ace, and that was, I think, the first map of the season as well, so that was kind of nuts to see. So I won't necessarily count them out on Oregon just yet, but we'll have to see how this one plays out for sure. But Blue, what are you thinking about these predictions, my friend? It looks like it's pretty split decision across the board so far.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't get mine in time this week, unfortunately. It's been pretty against the wall in terms of getting things sorted and personal stuff going on. But yeah, I mean, largely, I very much agree with what is being said. It's kind of split, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this series in itself goes to a tie. There is that possibility coming out. It does come down to who shows up better on the day, as it always does. And I think there's probably a little bit more favor going the way of Visionary just because their performances have been a little bit more dominant, so to speak, than Pryde's. They have been more standoutish. Pryde, they've gotten to this far. It's really just been consistency on their part. They're just playing their game. They're playing it reasonably well. There's a reason they're sitting on the scoreboard at the way that they are. Whereas, we've seen some very, very flashy stuff coming out of Visionary. We've seen some very, very low moments for the team as well, where they've had misplays or they've misstepped and cost themselves some rounds. So I think that is possibly influencing the predictions a little bit here.
Yeah, that's understandable. I could 100% see that come out. Visionary has been really on it lately, but I think that, again, that roster change that they had sort of been going through these past 2 weeks could contribute a little bit to Pryde having the advantage, at least early on in this one, until they start finding their footing, potentially map 2. So yeah, I might go with you on that one. The more I think about it, I think we could see potentially first map go Pryde, second map go Visionary. That could be a pretty apt prediction. Rose, do you have anything to say about that one? Do you think it might end up like a tie as well, or are you gonna stay pretty much in the hands of Visionary, I would say?
I think it is definitely possible. These teams are near standings for a reason. That means they're, as of now, pretty equal. But I think, once again, if I have to, somewhat play devil's advocate, I do have to go towards Visionary that they would take this if this doesn't go in a tie.
No, yeah, you can feel free to have any opinion you want. I mean, I'm not going to criticize you for that one. Visionary's a good roster. I'm just, I'm trying to foster the
oh yeah,
the knowledge coming out up here. I know the analyst desk is about to do their work and they don't get their say until halfway through, but we get to have some brain time up here on the main desk. So, excuse me. Looking at the attackers, however, still pretty common. I would have to say we do see Ace come out as actually the top picked hard breacher now that we're in this season, which is both a surprise and not a surprise at the same time for me, just knowing like how he was looking in the preseason before everything got switched over in the rulebook. Panda, what do you think, my friend?
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Ace is basically the love child of Hibana and Thermite. It does largely a mixture of the two jobs. It's ranged hard breach, so it's a little bit more secure than a Thermite. It also opens more than just the one set of X Kairos, so it makes a lot of sense that we see him there. On the defensive side, though, look, hey, none of this is out of the norm, out of the ordinary. I'm surprised we're not seeing as much smoke. I think it's more because it has been sort of interchangeable with some of these other anchor operators. But Jaeger, look, he's had a bit of a fall from grace. He's dipping lower and lower as the weeks go by, Rigel.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising in all honesty, especially now that people are sort of gearing up for this new update coming out. I'm sure that we're going to see a little bit of a reduction because they're probably going to start scrimming on the test server. These teams are very professional. They're going to start trying to get their advantages in place because, as you all know or have hopefully seen, but just in case you haven't, Jaeger's getting a rework with the upcoming season to where his ADSs will have a delay between charges. So like, let's say you throw a flashbang, Blue throws a flashbang at Light Rose, right? Light Rose is trying to hold the elbow in Oregon, and all of a sudden flashbang comes out. Jaeger burns that flashbang. Now you got to wait, like, what is it, 5 or 10 seconds for the regen to happen on the Jaeger device, but you can burn unlimited ones. You just have to wait for that timer to count down. So it's going to be a little bit interesting. Going to require a lot more thought onto where you want to put those Jaeger ADSs. So, but Rose, you were the defender in that scenario, getting the flashbang tossed at you. So what do you think about the Jaeger rework? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What's your opinion?
Oh, I completely love it. Along with the change that both magnets and ADSs will take out a projectile at once, kind of disintegrating both. I think that is gonna do wonders in really balancing it more towards the attackers, going away from this 20-second meta. And I think it'll change a lot of things in a lot of certain maps. On Villa, which is a map that we're going on, sometimes you would put these ADSs inside walk-in closet and just put a shield down, and then they would have to, throw in like 6 flashbangs, just something to drain that out, to maybe get a frag grenade in. And that is going to absolutely go away. You're going to have a lot more flashbangs in your pocket to actually use to blind the enemy, which is shocking considering what we've seen past, because it's mostly just been used to drain this utility. And I think it's for a lot of higher players, this is going to be a good change overall.
Yeah, I think so as well. The way I was looking at it, it's going to be a phenomenal addition to Rainbow Six, I think that these defenders are finally going to get nerfed a little bit. And I mean, if you look at it, Rainbow Six at its core is a pretty accurate representation, accurate quote unquote, of what it should be. So you're not going to use a flashbang to burn a Jaeger ADS in real life. So I think it's going to be a little bit cool, add a little more realism. But in any case, guys, we're going to have to see if the current Jaeger build is going to remain the same. But we've got the game going on for you. I'm going to kick y'all out. Go to Italy. Go do your jobs. Have fun. I'll see you back here in just a few.
A quick trip to Tuscany to kick things off here in Light. Getting into it, fun fact, this round, the opening round of this series, is going to be the 500th overall for this season of SCS. So not a bad situation to find ourselves in. It's Villa. We're going to be heading into bans. It makes a lot of sense that we are potentially going to see, not necessarily the Jaeger, but his counterpart being banned out here. Ace as well. The most prominent hard breacher in the competition is going to be the opening victim of the ban phase. He's put in a lot of work over the season already.
Yeah, Ace, I mean, he's just really somewhat a portable Habana. You know, you're able to open all these walls up. You're able to not waste your time having to aim it. And, you know, you might even just miscalculate where these X-Kairos go. You just plop that get down, go do something else. And he's got 3 of them, so he can open so much more than a Habana can. And it just makes sense why he goes down. So I expect to see, you know, somewhat of a Habana played possibly to open that office wall. But it allows for a little bit of attacker choices and making it a little bit harder for these attackers. But Malusi going off the board, these other bans, Thatcher, Wamai, Malusi, very typical bans that you would see.
Yeah, in Visionary, they've gone for the Steel Wave ban strat. They've taken out both the operators that came in with that operation. And going to this first round, we're going to see Wamai taken out as well, which means Jaeger is going to be on his lonesome dealing with all that utility. Fun fact, I did work it out. Jaeger has been played in all but 8 rounds of SCS so far.
Oh my
so
God.
he's had a pretty heavy showing, and coming to this round, we are going to see it come out once again. But kick things off, it's going to be Dining Kitchen. We have seen this approach from a number of teams rather than committing to the more popular bomb sites. And speaking of popular, Michaela, she's going to be bringing something a bit interesting. It's going to be the Dakaibi making an appearance here in the 500th round of SCS. They're looking to make a statement here. They're looking to have a bit of an impact and kicking this off. We're going to see some interesting stuff. Most notably, though, is Slasher is not here for Visionary.
Yeah, that might change things considerably because you're not going to really have somebody who's a little bit of your anchor, you know, that can absolutely show up, do work, and just be a consistent force that will just absolutely oppose the enemy. So that might need a definite change of play. But, you know, these teams that are able to improv and they're able to really do stuff on the fly, maybe in absence of a member and absence of a certain strat, those are the best teams that you see top of the charts, top of the leaderboards, that they're able to make these adjustments on the fly and just make do with what they can. And I'm super excited to see really who's gonna kind of be the team to really come through with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential here. We know that this Visionary roster can clutch up big when they need to. At the moment, Pixel is just going to be chucking down the last minute mute gem. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him holding that walk-in closet with the M590. It's a pretty go-to strat, especially with a bomb site like Dining Kitchen. You go for the vertical holds. You want to contest Master Bedroom because that is going to be a traditional avenue that a lot of teams look for, but it seems that's not the case. They're going for a westward take. In fact, they're just funneling in straight downstairs. Sam going to be the first one in. Is dealt with Amadou with the older you do not face check into the older 556. Absolutely gunned down here. And Pryde, they went for something bold. They went for something audacious. They have been bit hard. Visionary. We thought they were going to look a bit weak with that slasher on the board, but Amadou, we know how much work this man can do. With the help of Badger, they're shutting every step down. Pryde, they're looking in a rough spot.
Yeah, I mean, will the 500th round be an absolute flawless round? And how long is Oni going to take to really take this round? Because a 1v5 is very, very unlikely, especially this high up, because, you know, all of them except Amadou, who's still got a decent chunk of health left. It's just, there is 2 drones available for Oni, but they do spot the head of Panic. They're going to fire, and they're just going to walk away. They cannot risk that. They've got so much time on their side. They're going to swiftly go around red stairs.
SMG11 out in hand. Oh, he's been seen. He's been tagged. Badger's left the game, so it's not going to be a traditional flawless round.
No,
Unfortunate.
no.
It's really a question of whether he can get back in before the next round. But only he's got a minute 20 to work with. He's just going to be running around, and hell, he's just going to head over towards laundry, look to try and get himself in. Kaba comes out, but well and truly telegraphing that. Jimmy pre-fires the door. Visionary, they take it in style. What would arguably be a flawless round if Badger hadn't left, so not a bad way to kick off round number 500 of the SCS season. And they are anticipating that he makes it back. It really is a question of, there we go. He's back in the server. Visionary take their round lead, minus a player, believe it or not. But I think early on the damage was dealt. Abadou with the 5.56 older, well and truly mowing down that rush attempt. I think that could be telling of how we see this approach coming out from Pryde.
Pryde is a team that takes advantage of that surprise. They pop up where you least expect them. They play these angles that you really wouldn't expect. And in that situation, it just absolutely did not work out. I mean, we might have seen Abadou just hopping up in that aim trainer, getting ready for all those reflexes because they were just able to swiftly put an end to these typical surprise strategies that Pryde was able to do. If Abadou was taken out, that's your maestro off the board, and that's a huge impact on this defensive side. And so overall, it sounds good on paper. They expect you to really try to open this master bedroom wall, but instead, you've got 3 members in kitchen where your roamer possibly might be, but it just does not work out. And I don't know if it'll be a foretelling for how this map is going to go, simply because, these different sites mean different strats, different possible surprises that Pryde can do. But, going over 2 trophy stats array, it's hard to see where Pryde can really come from that can really be a surprise angle.
Yeah, it's split. So they're not going for the linear approach. Traditionally, you'd go Aviator Games, you'd then head over to Split, and then probably one of the bottom 4 bomb sites if you want. They're going to get the hard one out of the way first. They deal with Dining Kitchen. They're going for, third to second to first approach, I think it seems here, as they will be heading now to the Split bomb site. Trophy statuary can be an interesting one for sure to hold on to. They do have Pixel on the mute once again. The question is, like I said, is it going to be that hold in the walk-in closet? Deny the entry with the M590. It's such a great gun in those close angles. Try and deny that entry. And we know Pryde are no stranger to a heavy rush. We've seen them do it in the last round. Luckily, Abadou just had the angle that he needed to work with. The real question, though, are we going to see that same approach? And they're all geared up in the same spot. They're all heavy sprinting at the moment. But you've got to wonder, how many times can they go for the strategy and be punished for it before they change things up?
Well, I mean, if you bang your head against a wall, you're gonna get through that wall. It might take 100, 500 times, but it'll eventually work. And I think that might work for Pryde, is already Panic and Samuel just flirting with death here. Not even 30 seconds gone by, but no damage done to anybody left. And they're just going to take that patient game, which Pryde, we don't usually see from Pryde, but I think this might work out here in the end, just being patient. And already like that, Michaela taking out Pixel and giving Pryde that automatic advantage with 1 C4 off the board.
Yeah, but look at that. The drone economy is in shambles with 2 minutes left to play. There's 3 left, and Jimmy, he's taken up the position of his fallen teammate. He's looking to do the damage back. If they can deny out Michaela here, that's the hard breacher gone. That's a lot of utility off the board as well. So at the moment, it's still that very, very horizontal spread coming out of Visionary here. They're looking to deny as much ground as possible. Panic has been droned out in Hunting Vault, so they know he's there. He's got the Vulcan shield to play behind, plus that Nitro cell, so they have some added security. Know where my means that they can look to try and destroy it out if they want to. And Jimmy with a long angle, but no, it's stolen away with the Nitro cell, loses the shield, but never mind, Jimmy's going to find himself another one anyway. They're just going for these long-range angle contests and still collecting those kills. At the moment, Pryde, they're in a rough spot. They've got 1 drone left. Oni will get 1 back, but they lose the hard breach now, and it's on the Sledge and the Ash. They get Panic, so it's back to a 2 versus 2. Unfortunately for them, it's Abadou and Jimmy, 2 of the best guns conceivably on the defense. They will have to be forcing their way through. And with no hard breach on the board and limited utility, they've only got 4 throwables between them. If those ADSs are in the right spot, this is going to be a hard push.
Yeah, I mean, the only frag grenade is gonna have to do work, but like you said, only those three flashbangs, so many ADSs to use that just might not be possible. And already, Abadu taken out in buckets, just knows where they are. But a great job by Oni in getting that angle down, and Pryde really somewhat clutching that from the jaws of defeat as they're gonna take round 2.
Yeah, when it on the gunfights, that's exactly what you need to be doing. Samuel finds the final one, just lines it up, sprays it down, goes for the style reload at the end. And so we're back even here, Light. This is a little bit more contested. Actually, this is kind of exactly how we expected it to go. These teams are neck and neck on the standings. They're going to be neck and neck on the scoreboard, I would imagine, for the majority of this map. And the big call, Visionary, they decide not to go back to split. They say, look, it started well, ended rather poorly. We're going to go to Aviator Games, try something a little bit different here. And yeah, Rizza, he's disappointed. Chief already taking the silencer off the M762. And as we head to Aviator Games, Panic, he's going to go for something a little bit different here. He was playing the Moz in the last round, Denial plus that gaining of information. They're just going to go for the straight information instead. It's going to be a Valkyrie. Wouldn't be surprised at all if we see some of those cams around Classical, give them as much information as possible to work with. There's potential that we see another force, another rush coming out here onto this bomb site.
I mean, that's just the Pryde way, but Panic, I think choosing the Valkyrie might be a little better because it seems that the capturing of drones hasn't been it. They've just been able to shoot them. That Pryde has been really, really risky with their drone economy. We mentioned how they're just almost halfway into the round. They almost had like 3 drones left. And for a lot of teams, that is just devastating. You don't have that info and you're really going to have to go in blind. But I think Pryde, they don't exactly need the drones. They're relying a lot on their gunplay, which isn't bad. If it works, it works. But eventually, if Visionaries start to get smart, they start to get warmed up to these kind of things that Pryde do, then they should be able to play their angles correctly. And, a lot of times when teams play Pryde, can see Pryde somewhat get the early lead. But then teams really work around how to play against them. These kind of rush strats, these crazy angles and gunplay that we see. And this could happen with Visionary, but already Panic just going up these Astro stairs, a drone possibly not spotting them, but they're going to fire off some shots and they're just going to have to back on down. Some damage taken to them, but not enough to go down.
He almost connected there with the head, but has to pull off. Throws out the Nitro cell for a bit of a fadeaway, but doesn't find anything off the back of it. This is a rough spot that we've seen Visionary in before. If Panic cannot find the room to operate, if he cannot find a bit of space to work where he's unspotted and able to find frags, it makes his job that much harder. He is the dedicated roamer. He's going to be the one looking for those heavy frags. At the moment, he's going to be looking to push up the stairs, but has been spotted out red. A very tenuous spot for this team at the moment. Concussion goes in. He's going to be forced off, and Samuel will find him anyway, pushing up from below. They have just executed this so well. Deal with the roam game, deal with that threat of Panic, and now they can just start that march onto the bomb site with 1:38 left on the clock.
Panic was put in a little bit of a panic state there. They weren't really given the room to absolutely do what they needed to be, but luckily Jimmy gonna be able to find the refrag, so definitely not all hope lost for Visionary. But as Jimmy goes down, this is really gonna put Pryde up 4-2, and if some shots are able to connect, and a great shot by Rizzer finding the head of Pixel, but will Jimmy be able to get the revive? There might be a little bit of hope left in this round, but it's all up to Abadu as Pryde is going to be going up these stairs. Diffuser going to be starting to be put down, and it's all up to Abadu.
He is going to find the first one under Oni, but with the defuse going down, he's got to find 3. And unfortunately, with the way things are going, Samuel has been one of the standout fraggers for the team already, so he's going to have his work cut out from this player already on red stairs, prone, waiting for him to push up. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Dylan, he's there, the ARX in hand. Nomad shuts it down, and it's going to be the round differential going in favor of Pryde now. Post-plant win off the last, and you've got to wonder, have Visionary been figured out coming into this week? They shut down Panic early. They deal with that offsite presence, then they can just work their way in and get the plant down. Not seeing Slasher, it could be a rather tenuous spot for them to be in, especially considering how impactful he can be as that switch on the attack happens. This is looking, I mean, it's still early days, honestly, Light, but this is looking like a less than full strength Visionary roster.
And that's a big struggle because this might be a match that Visionary really need to win. This would put them below that kind of playoff status, and then you just have to work on up. And that's really going to be hard. We've seen Visionary, they've played the medium to lower teams, but they have yet to really play, the In Control, Redux Rising, all these teams that are absolutely dominating up top in the standings. And they're gonna need all the wins they can get if they are gonna be able to find the losses on those. And same with Pryde. Pryde, they have played In Control, but if they're able to win this match and come out on top, even though they've got somewhat of a poor round differential, -5 compared to Visionaries +3, still having those map wins in your back pocket as concrete evidence in the standings, that is going to be huge as we go into the second half of the season.
And as we head into round number 4, speaking of getting closer to that second half, we're not quite at the second half of the map just yet, but we are rapidly approaching here. Round number 4 underway. We see Badger back on the Goyo. He's been one of those players throughout the seasons who has had just absolute flashes of brilliance, so definitely going to be on his shoulders. The young gun, he's 15 if I remember correctly from what was said, so he is one of the younger players in the competition at the moment. Very, very capable. Very, very solid fragger. So if he can start to get on the board a little bit more, start to have a bit of an impact, could definitely do a lot of work to bring that round differential back in the favor of Visionary. But drones going out. They've got to pull back off the position. And Rizza, this time, he isn't going to find his target. They've well and truly respected that push. Again, though, Pryde in position early to execute onto the bomb site. There's a lot of ground that has been conceded for no competition. From here, this could translate into a very, very aggressive push over towards the bomb site. Jimmy, we've seen him win a couple of those long-range gunfights, though. He could turn this on its head.
Yeah, the roam clear for Pryde really seems to be on point. And I don't really want to jinx it as they're really having to find out Panic, but Panic gets that C4 onto Michaela, but luckily Samuel's going to be able to find the refrag, and now Badger is going to have to duck, dive, and weave his own. No, Jimmy pre-firing. The door finds the head of his own teammate, Badger, and that puts a serious wrench in that Visionary defense.
Jimmy's a bit isolated here at the moment. Can't really do much to get himself into a safe spot, especially with the drones coming out. He's going to be spotted. He does manage to cover himself as he pushes onto red. Does not realize that Samuel is going to be the one following him. All of a sudden, it's BO2 and Pixel left alone here once again. We've seen them in this spot, and they weren't able to do it last time. So BO2 has to go absolutely huge here. He has to line them up, knock him down. And they need someone to cover the flanks, because if you were paying attention, Oni is coming on towards Astro Stairs. There is some real threat in place, and Rizza finds the outrun to Pixel. It's a 1v4, swinging aggressively. BO2 sees, or at least hears the air jab coming out, so knows there's no room to move, and they're hunting for him. He's not quite able to find the first spray through the wall, and Samuel shuts it down, leading the charge here for Pryde. 3 rounds in a row now. They are just looking to deny this Visionary roster from any chance of making it into playoffs.
Visionary seem to be struggling, and Pryde, I mentioned in before that round, before we saw Panic get that C4 kills, their roam clear just seems to be on point. This is an aspect of the game that Visionary knows how to do really well on the defensive side. But with the absence of Slasher, that is a really big struggle. We're seeing Panic and Pixel buckets. They're having somewhat of a flexible roam game, but it's just not as good and as impactful as Slasher. And Pryde, they're just making absolute work.
We know this Visionary roster is a team that tends to excel a little bit more on the attack, so I mean, there is potential that they do bring it back as the half switches, but the way things are going, this is a rather unfortunate showing from them. They're down 3-1 already. Staring potentially at a 4-1. They are going to bring the Castle, the FBI duo on the defense. So BO2, rather than running the Maestro, is going to be running the Pulse instead, trying to feed that information through, trying to play off the Nitro cells. They do have 3 on board between BO2, Panic, and Pixel. So they're going to have to translate those into some big kills. And you look at the community vote, this is not at all what the community expected. 62% going the way of Visionary, only 38% going the way of Pryde. And looking at the scoreboard, looking at the way these rounds have been playing out, I think this is a bit of a bad take.
I mean, we can kind of see that. I don't know if the community can absolutely see from the absolute stomp that right now Pryde has gone with their man count that they've been ahead each of these rounds, just how silly Visionary have looked, and just these panic sprays, these panic movements that we kind of see from them, team kills from Jimmy Buckets. It's just Visionary don't look as strong as we've seen them from before. And for me personally, I'm questioning whether Visionary, why they're not bringing something like a Smoke. We usually see Smoke constantly being brought out. We're not seeing a Maestro. We're not seeing anything of the sort. And instead, we're just seeing Panic, actually, Pixel, excuse me, get the refrag. So definitely worth something in that death. And Samuel getting 6 and 2, that is definitely a refrag worth something, because Samuel has been going off on these last 2 rounds, finding these 3Ks, 2Ks every single time, and taking him off the board could really be big for Visionary.
Well, even regardless of what was going to happen, I think Pixel was in a rough spot, to say the very least. You saw how he died, multiple angles that were being covered. He was shot from so many different positions. So at the moment, this is Pryde. They're looking very, very clinical in their approach to these bomb sites. They're going for the multi-pronged attacks. Jimmy, at the moment, we could see him get another pre-fire here. RZA swings around the door. He wins the gunfight regardless. Very, very much anticipating the player holding the close angle. And no damage returned whatsoever. I think he was caught as much as, by surprise as we were. And here we go. We see the duo of Panic and Abadu feeding that information out. Nitro Cell into oblivion. And speaking of, it's not even close to anyone at the end of the day. Only has been tagged, but at the moment he's sitting pretty. They lose out on some of that key utility. Badger, he's in a bit of spot of trouble as well, and Panic goes down. They're just stringing these frags together. There seems to be no answer coming out of Visionary just now.
Yeah, Visionary don't really seem to be working together. They don't seem to really be coordinating any of these defensive strats. And Pryde, they're really working together. We're seeing these crossfire angles. We're seeing all this utility working together to take out the members of the roam, and then slowly moves in onto this defensive side. And they're able to use the advantage that man count is inherently giving them. And, they're able to play a little bit more risky spots that would get them these kills a lot better. But Pryde finally going to take that risky angle, and it's not going to work out for them. But there we go. We are going to see start of push towards the site, but now it's a 2v2 as Badger's going to use that super shorty on that IQ, and now Pryde takes out Badger, so it's just Abadu on a lonely 5 HP, and they've got one of the worst guns in the game. This is a fight that you might not win, but taking out Rizzer, just got Dylan, Diffuser, 9 seconds left, it's going down.
Abadu, he's on a sliver of health. If Dylan can pull off at the right time and find the spray, but he's going to stick it out regardless. Abadu swings, no health left. And Dylan is just going to scrape himself out of that situation. Hair jab out, adding insult to injury. Abadu, if he can find the head, he could definitely take this round back. He's got the cardiac sensor if he decides to go for it, and that is the play. Sees that there is still a player in laundry. He's got to go for the head. He's got to go for the swing. Jiggles around the doorway. Dylan, oh, this could be rough. He could almost be out of ammo. He's got to go for the reload. Prone play with the pistol. Makes it work regardless, and Pryde get themselves a 4th on the board. And this is very, very concerning if you're a Visionary fan. We talked to Panic a couple of weeks back. We know that there has been some scheduling conflicts. They haven't been able to get in the practice time they would have liked. And I think that is what is showing through at the moment. They just have not got the coordination for a team that is in this position. They are really just struggling every step of the way. Abadu has been a standout performer, though, consistently finding those frags. Unable to pull it out there in the last round. But Maestro, he's done a lot of work on it already. Hopefully he can do even more. Badger as well. He has been able to string together some very, very important frags. Hopefully this time he doesn't get killed by Jimmy. As great as it is to be able to swing and pre-fire those doorways the way Jimmy does, it's not always great if it's your teammate walking through them.
And at this high level, you need to have that coordination. Like, gun skill can only get you so far. Visionary, Slasher being absent, you're having one of the main key gun players. The player that you can win rounds basically based off of gunplay alone, they're absent. And so you lose a lot of round potential, this round winning potential. And if you're not able to get that practice in, which, it just happens sometimes, you can't really change that, then you're just kind of stuck. You're floating around. You don't really have any access or way to win these rounds. And it's unfortunate because, Visionary, we've seen that they're a team that, they're able, when they're coordinated, when they have everybody here, that they're able to really win these rounds. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles right now.
I mean, crumbling is definitely the right word. It feels staring down the barrel of a 5-1 half on your own map pick is... no, sorry, not their... Yeah, no, it is their map pick. That's not a great situation for Visionary to be in. Look, there's any number of criticisms we could give. Like, there's a lot of things that could be done to bring it back, and unfortunately this hold is not one of them. Michaela with the long angle from master bedroom window over by the fireplace. They've read into this hold again and dealt with it even more securely than they did in the last round. I think we're just seeing Visionary default every single round. It's default strategies, default approaches to the map. We're not seeing that level of innovation, that level of initiative that we've seen out of them previously.
I mean, it's just not working together. I mean, we're seeing these default getting bunkered and busted faster and faster, which allows Pryde to go for more and more. But luckily, Abadoo, they were able to win that first round based on Abadoo's Alda only basically alone. So if that could happen again, it's something. But that is only one person off the board, and they've got so much time simply because walk-in closet was given to them, master bedroom was given to them, and they've got so many drones, which is giving away the position of Abadoo. But Panic taking out Michaela, the man count towards Visionary, but we've seen them give this away earlier in the match. Will it happen again?
Samuel is still alive, running that R4C. Camera's already dealt with, so Astro going to be a very, very dangerous spot here for Visionary if they're not respecting it. Pings go out and the relocation will happen as Samuel just looking to establish themselves here. Go for the contest with a minute left. Oh, this big swing. He's going to find the back of the head of Badger. Just not watching their angles. He finds a second, lines up Jimmy as well. This is all coming apart. Abadoo gonna fall. Samuel with a quick triple. Turns around on its head. He's looking for his fourth and he gets it. Quad in the round. Man advantage completely wasted there by Visionary. A 5-1 half going the way of Pryde as well. Light. This is definitely rough.
Oh, I mean, that might be an understatement. I mean, based on that run alone, Visionary, they had all the steps. Even though they gave up master bedroom and walk-in closet, they had the man count. They just had to really stay still, make sure that they knew in the general vicinity where they were coming from. But Samuel is just, the guns just went off the R4C. Ashmay just running around, clicking heads, getting that quad kill. 5-1. Now you're going on to the attack, which Villa also favors this defensive side. But we see a really explosive 7-1 Rizzer going on the L. That is the pick that we see from Rizzer. But oh, man, I started talking about it, and then we just go straight to the Goyo.
Well, the pick that I'm looking at is the dot coming out for Sam. We've seen what he can do with that R4C. Running around with the MP5 and that 1.5 times scope. Not to mention the survivability that you're naturally going to have with the stim. This, again, could be a very, very rough round going the way of Visionary. They've really struggled. They have in multiple situations here. Now going on to the attack, it's the side they excel on a little bit more. That's the only way you can put it at the moment. Badger, he's also going to be picking up the buck. They're going to be playing vertically. At least that's the way it's looking. It really comes down to whether or not they can make it happen. But scoreboard-wise, Sam, 10-1-2 right now. Has really just had a standout performance for the team. Abadoo's trying to match 7-1-5. He's close. He's very, very close. But unfortunately, close isn't quite good enough at the end of the day. There's a reason that Pryde take the half 5-1. There's a reason they're looking to close it out. Look at that, Sam. He's going for a spawn peek from the second floor landing. Looking over towards Fountain, but no one is there. They've all spawned over towards the ruin side of things. Very, very lucky if they'd lost one of those key operators early on, especially if they'd lost someone like Abadoo early on. This would have been an absolute shutout.
Taking your time here, making sure you've got the drones. And Visionary, they've got so many drones in their pocket. They saved a couple from that prep phase, so they're just going to be able to make sure that they find something. But Panic almost getting an early frag there from these early shotguns. Michaela, they're bringing out the smoke, which I don't think we saw smoke a single time from the defensive side.
We saw it once. Pixel played it, well, I think it was actually twice, and I believe it was on the spawn side as well.
Yeah, but we didn't see those possible smoke canisters really have any impact on the round at all. You know, Pryde, we're just able to really rush on site. The smoke canisters didn't really do anything, but already Bucket's taking out Michaela, and that is the smoke. So that is something, and if Oni's able to get away with their life, which they are not, Visionary, they're getting an early lead, and that's something that's going to allow them to go forward. But Samuel running through the fire and the flames, they've got those stims really boost them back up, but that's a ballsy play right there.
Hey, look, he's overstimmed now, so he's sitting as just as pretty as he was earlier. Very aggressive contest coming out here from the boys on Pryde. Watching their angles. You got one in Hunting Vault, you got one Classical, and you got one sitting in Aviator itself. And Sam can't quite connect onto the head of Panic. This is where they do start to shine. Visionary, very, very comfortable on the attack. They like to play this side. Dylan, he's got an uphill battle. It's still a 5 versus 2. RZA could look to do some work with that Vector of his own, but in this situation, backs against the wall. It doesn't matter. Panic is just going to gun out wild. And he's been found. It's Pixel to shut it down. Flawless round coming out for Visionary's first attack. Much better performance. Much more of what we expected coming out of these guys. This could be an indicator that we might see that 5-1 half swap.
I mean, you're right, but we saw the exact same thing in the first round of the last split. It was basically a flawless round. And then look how it ended up. 5-1. That was the only round that Visionary were able to take. And it was a decisive round. Same as the 7th round was, but they have to repeat it. They have to do the same thing, and they have to really play the same way that they did on this attacking side. You mentioned earlier that they're so much stronger, at least a little bit, on this attacking side, but they've got to win every single round, maybe bar one if they want to go into overtime, if they need to. But putting yourself at that disadvantage, that 5-1 disadvantage, that's extremely rough because you've got such a mountain to climb. And one mistake, 2 mistakes will put you at closer to the knife's edge. And then finally going from match point is just might all be over.
Yeah, well, it's still too early to call it just yet, although definitely favoring Pryde at the moment. 5-2, 5-1 in the half, so they have dropped the opener of the round. Like we're talking about, it's how that first half started off, so it's no real indicator of how this one could potentially go. We are seeing more of that information in, well, actually just a huge amount of information denial, huge amount of information gathering on the side of Pryde. Mozzie, Valkyrie, Maestro, and the Mute. I mean, you're going to be hard-pressed to get your drone into anywhere important, let alone get into that same spot unnoticed. Going on the split site. There's a lot of vertical presence, a lot of roam coming out here. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see RZA and Samuel both opting for that deep roam. There's so much ground you can utilize on a map like Villa. Why not make the most of it? Catch the attackers out from behind, as they are all positioning themselves over here by Aviator Games once again. Panic gonna lead the charge in. Badger is on the IQ this time, so looking for that information, looking to try and deny the gadgetry. But you look at that. Vertical play coming in already. Samuel downstairs with the RZA. Dual roam could affect a lot of change.
I mean, there's no one on that top floor really impeding the progress of Visionary, but I think the longer the round goes on, I think the more complacent Visionary will get, and then that is where we see this double roam really start to strike Samuel or RZA. If they don't have, Visionary doesn't have somebody on hard roam count, you know, these drones aren't able to spot at least where these movements will go, where they'll come from, then we could see a definite devastation. But that drone is going to be able to spot Samuel, so they might have to do a quick rotation. But Pixel seems to be on that roam hunt along with a couple drones from Visionary, as they're somewhat doing a dual take. They're starting to take off this roam from the bottom side, and they're starting to attack the bomb site from the top.
RZA, he's going for the pre-fires towards Pixel down here in Toilet, but no, not overly committing to that gunfight, knowing just how much it would mean if they lost out. And Pixel very much isolated if they could just slot a Nitro Cell in, or the swing does come, and it is RZA to come out on top. Nitro Cell was tossed, but not connecting that time round. And look at that close hug in the doorway. Pixel finds the kill onto RZA, finds the double, in fact, as Samuel forces his way in. Badger chimes in with a third, Michaela going down. And all of a sudden, Pryde, their over-aggression costing them heavily. They've lost out on 3 very, very important operators, and it's all left to Dylan and Oni.
It's just, that's super struggling. Now we might go for a second flawless round in a row, but ooh, getting that little flick above the bathtub. Pryde makes sure that happened, and Abadu is going to be able to get this plant down, as most of Visionary know where this Mute is hanging around. They're hanging around master bedroom, but They're just going to go for a little rotate. They don't have much on their side, much info, and they've got so little time to take this round back.
Dylan, I think he's just going to pad the stats a little bit here. Keep his cost healthy at the moment. Not go for any over-aggressive plays. And even the drones don't know where he is. I think they're a little bit confused. There's only so many options. He's just going to hold in, wait for someone to push into him. But no call coming the way of Visionary to aggress when they don't need to. And as the time ticks away, Dylan, yeah, he's out of time. I think they've just used what was left of the round to talk, break down what's happening and what they need to change to make it better going into the next. So it will be Visionary securing themselves a third. The bomb was disarmed. So they get themselves yet another on the board, but that's critical time that has been given over to Pryde to figure out what's going on, what's going wrong, and make those changes.
Yeah, it's time that, you sometimes might need, but are we just seeing an attacker-sided villa? Sometimes these things just happen. We see a defensive-sided map or an attacker-sided map, no matter how these teams kind of go on the map. And it might kind of see this happening. We saw for Pryde, they were absolutely dominating on the attack. They were winning these rounds made by 2, 3, 4 people. So a definite advantage there. And then for Visionary, they're coming out, and the most that they've lost these attacking rounds is 4 people alive. If Dylan was really able to lose that gunfight, that would have been a second flawless round in a row. So, I mean, it's just possible we might see something like that happen, and overtime would possibly decide the true winner. But Rizzer on the Capcan, now that is an interesting pick. I don't know if it's possibly a bad one, but with the inclusion of the IQ, that's going to be a hard counter.
Look, I'm a big fan of the Capcan. I love seeing it brought in. It definitely punishes those teams that go for late round executes. Not really what we've seen out of either team so far, but I think they could utilize this, punish that roam hunt that has been coming the way of Visionary. They've been trying to clear out the roamers, trying to punish them, and this time round, Oni is going to be the one picking up the Mozzie. Rizzer and Sam, they're playing different operators entirely. It's going to be a Jaeger and a Capcan down. Well, actually, we might not even see them downstairs. So we could see them any number of positions right now. But I think he's going for a bit of a juggle, a bit of a change, a bit of a chop. Pick up some new operators, try and make things work a little bit more. And I think this is all coming down to that time that Dylan spent walking. They were communicating. They were trying to figure out what changes they needed to make. And we'll see if this is it.
If Capcan is needed, Capcan's brought. It could be an absolute game changer, or it just could be a drop in the ocean, depending on how Visionary are, how aware they are. If Badger's able to definitely spot these EDDs. But right now, Visionary, they're already in the building, already making their aggressive play towards the site. We're seeing a little bit of same strategies. We saw the double roam from downstairs, and we saw Visionary already getting inside the building super early and pushing forward. But the difference is, are Visionary able to take out these roamers on the first floor easily, or are they gonna be able to die and Pryde is able to get that advantage?
Well, it looks like Pixel is going to go for the same approach downstairs, heading over towards toilet, looking to contest into lounge, but not really holding the same kind of angles. Rizzer is in Memorial. Does have Oni down there with him, but Jimmy on the hunt with the drones, looking to figure out where they're playing from. A lot of these reinforcements, I think, are just to throw off their opponents, as they are just playing smart. They're not over-contesting, not over-aggressing in these situations where they don't need to. And it looks like they might even do a full basement clear here, as there has been that presence on the red stairs looking to go all the way through to the basement. Jimmy very aware of that there could be a threat, but it's Abadu to find the opener. That's Samuel going down. The Jaeger already dealt with in master bedroom, no less. That's a huge punish. I don't think they quite anticipated that was going to be the point of entrance for Visionary, and losing out on a Jaeger that early, it's a bit rough.
And now time just ticking away. There is still that roam downstairs, and that could be a thorn inside of Visionary, but it seems that somewhat they're disregarding it. They're starting to attack on site. 45 seconds left as they started got it. And we still see Jimmy possibly hunting that down, but now the frag grenade is Panic is basically in sight, and nobody's really there to contest it. They know that somebody's near there, but that drone is going to spot out Oni, and they're just going to have to back off for the time being, and they're going to barely find the head of Panic. That puts us at a 4-4 The time is slowly dwindling. Even man count as Badger starts that defuse.
Flash is there to cover. Rizzo with a nitro isn't going to be able to deny it. Jimmy follows up onto Oni. Pixel gets it yet another, and Dylan with a nitro cell. Duncan onto the Zofia and coming in from behind. Could shut down the plant. They had to pull off it with 6 seconds left. And Rizza, he finds Pixel. Badger has to commit, so it's Abadu here with lone Overwatch onto the bomb plant and swinging out. They will be able to deny Pryde. Win it on the clock. Just not getting themselves in early enough for Visionary to get the plant down. And it is going to cost them a situation where they're now facing down map point. Pryde, they have played that 6th operator to perfection. The clock, it's not something you want to be messing around with if you're an attacker. And it really has cost them.
My question is just, why did Badger, this happened twice, Badger stuck the plant and then got off of it with about 2 seconds left each time. If you're putting that diffuser down, that gives you such a significant advantage. There was no immediate threat, and there was an extra man to really cover the angles. And so I'm just questioning why Badger really wasn't able to stick it. I think that might not alone have cost Visionary the round. There were obviously other factors, but that might have boosted their chances of winning that round significantly. Instead, they're looking down the barrel of a map loss. Now they're definitely lost some points because now we've got to go into overtime at least to gain some points for Visionary. But it's still crucial because you still got to win these last 3 rounds.
I think potentially Badger was overestimating the potential nitro cells coming out from below. The first one went out, and that was an indicator that it was that vertical threat. I think they may have read into a second one being there, but it really just wasn't the case. It was Rizza down there all on his own. They were able to execute onto the bomb site, get the player off, well, Badger just off the diffuser in general, and from there, quickly, very, very quickly spiraled out of control because they had no time left to work with. As we head to Aviator Games now, though, this is the go-to bomb site for the majority of teams. Samuel is picking up something different yet again. He's going to be running around the Legion. He hasn't picked up a single frag since we went into the half, so it's a bit rough for him. The rest of the team has been the one to step up, and he's dead already. Pixel is just going to find that early, very early, and a very long-range frag indeed.
Oh boy, that is... I don't know if Samuel would have done that again, but I think Visionary, that's a definite boost because Legion, that's Legion. There's gonna be almost like 2 goo mines possibly available, and other than that, there's nothing. And so now that one of the goo mines is down, so now you've just got these smoke canisters. One of the L mines has gone off. A lot of utility is already being drained from this defensive side, and there's so much time left. These drones able to find out these defenders. There's got flashbangs, frag grenades to deal with the ADSs. Things are looking good for Visionary. They just have to play it well. Don't be stupid. Don't make dumb mistakes. Misplay your utility because you have already a huge advantage in the round.
Just that long-range angle plus the nade that has just come into play. Rizza going down as well. Michaela tagged heavy. Gets the trade against Jimmy. More of that utility off the board is going to be able to pull back into Hunting Vault. A little bit safe now, especially given that Abadu is the only hard breach. Got only covering from Study. They are very aware of the positioning here. As Impact Trick not going to connect, so Hunting Vault open wide. Michaela in a spot of trouble at the moment. Has some support from Dylan and from Oni as well. Oni is going to be swinging onto the angle. Has control of 90 now. Might be able to find a long-range shot. And the player pushing towards landing, but you see already just pulling. Visionary, they got the Hunting Vault wall open. They've pulled off the angle. They lose Abadu. That is diffuser down. They are going to be able to recover it, but that is a huge misread, a huge misplay that has come out from this Visionary roster. They even let Oni get out safe and sound. And you've got to wonder if, you know, that flawless round that we saw in the opener of the second half, the last round before that, the second one following that they got the defuse on, maybe that was all they had in them.
Yeah, just a last burst of hope with the frag grenade. Able to take out Michaela. Definite great use of that utility from Panic. 2 for 2 on the round, but 1v2 left. It's just Dylan against the rest of Visionary. They've got the SMG-11, and it is going to do absolutely nothing. Visionary, despite being down, they are still hanging in this.
Yeah, Pixel definitely stepping up. Definitely filling the void that I mean, traditionally would be filled by Slasher on the entry playing on that Zofia. This time round, Pixel has been the one who has time and time again stepped up and gone above and beyond when the team needs him. Going into round number 11, that gap is closing round after round. Unfortunately, there's just no room for error on the side of Visionary. They cannot slip up too many more times. Well, even one more time, it's going to cost them a round potentially. So as we head down to Dining Kitchen, this bomb site has had a rather interesting history. Visionary, they were able to punish that rush we saw in round number 1, but the second time around, it went the way of Pryde in a 1v1. So as we see Visionary hitting there for their defense, well, that's the question. Is this going to be what they need to push themselves one round away from overtime?
I mean, one slip up. R6, it's a game of inches. I mean, if you give a little inch, you can take a mile. And right now, Visionary, they're taking advantage of Pryde's mistakes. We've seen some good utility play. I mean, the frag grenades from Panic were really, really good last round. Able to find 2, which, I mean, sometimes you can get nothing for an entire game with these frag grenades. So to get great utility usage like that is definitely underestimated. But Visionary, like we mentioned, they just can't make a single mistake or it's all over for this map.
Yeah, it's those advantages that you establish early that then need to be translated into, execute onto the bomb site, get themselves that plant down, or just get themselves a positional advantage they need to, so that the defenders then need to force into them. So we'll see if that's what happens. It's been very linear from Visionary so far. Every single time in the attack, the majority of the players on the board have spawned over towards the study side. Luckily this time around though, Samuel isn't going to be, taken way off the board with the pre-fight. At the moment though, they have conceded study. They've conceded a lot of this vertical play, from above, and that's where the sledge is going to come into it. Panic is going to start opening up the full nitro cell out from Rizza. Not able to connect onto anyone. Is looking for the frags, but there's no one home. They've already worked their way through. Cleared AVG at the moment. Panic is on the job and definitely doing it well. There's a lot that could go wrong here.
I mean, definitely, for sure. And they're playing these somewhat risky angles. They're using their utility. I mean, Rizzer, C4s have just been finding their way onto the scoreboard all night. So using that for something that really gained no momentum, you're not going to see Visionary going near there ever again. And if Oni and Michaela aren't really able to find these explosive kills, then you're definitely going to want that back. But Visionary, they're already right outside bomb site. They are knocking on the door. And Pryde, they need to find some way to stop them.
Can they, is the question. Samuel's going to be tagged early. Pryde, they get the run out though in the hands of Oni with that P10 Roni. Makes sense that he's going to be the one running it, and Samuel's in a bit of spot of trouble, but gets the refrag back and avenges his teammate. Badger on the hunt, trying to do his teammate justice, but the drop down through the hatch happens. And all of a sudden, man count in the favor of Pryde. Lack of vertical control as well, but in back hallway, Pixel is going to look to try and start that push into kitchen. Closest angle is going to be Samuel, who was already low. So the legwork had already been done. The older 556 coming out. They know that there's a player close, and Pixel yet again has been the redeeming factor here for Visionary. A great pickup it seems so far, and Rizza, he's going to be bitten and forced off the angle. In fact, triple kill going the way of Pixel. It's left in the hands of Michaela with an SMG11. He does have a nitro cell and that M590. He's going to swing in towards Laundry aggressively, but the stun is there. He will get the down onto Jimmy. Gets control at least. Is going to prep. No, doesn't even prep the doorway for a run out. Badger is low, so there is potential for a stop here. Pixel has to watch the angle. There seems to be no real answer. Nitro cell was tossed, but not going to connect, and there we go. Pixel with a 4K. Big read onto the run out. And Visionary get themselves a 5th on the board. It seems less a case that, there wasn't much time for practice, and more a case of Visionary wasn't quite warmed up, as they are one round away from tying things up here.
Yeah, the lawnmower has been revved and it is purring all right. And Visionary, they're one round away from getting this 5-1 split. They were down really, really heavily on this defensive side, but they've got to go back to Trophy. Now, we've seen Trophy. Right now, it is 1-1 apiece. We've seen Visionary. They've gotten that plant down, and they've won that round. But Pryde, they won that second round, and that was the one that put them on match point. So if they were able to really finish this out. And so far, we're seeing somewhat of the same thing in Maestro, Mute, Mozzie. And instead of a Valkyrie, we're going to see an Alibi. So a different type of information denial. Is it going to be a mistake? You're losing a C4 and you're losing clear and direct access for somewhat mischievous. We don't see a lot of mistakes coming out because a lot of times these players will know that it's an Alibi clone. They'll just shoot the base, find that out. But if RZR is able to put these prismas in certain spots, on windows that give them information on where they're coming, it's all dependent on how RZR wants to play this, because I don't see a world in which you'd rather play an Alibi rather than a Valkyrie.
Look, my only real disappointment is that we're not seeing the ACS 12 coming out. It's a hell of a gun, and does a lot of damage if you can find the spawn peak. It's a situation that very rarely plays out, and one that Chief has been yearning for a number of weeks now. But we'll see what they can do. Again, they're going for that verticality. They want to deny that threat from below in terms of the frag grenades. They're going to set themselves up as they have a number of rounds so far. And yeah, RZR, the question is, where is he himself going to play? Where are those prismas going out? And has thrown out all three of them. And yet again, Visionary, they're going for that very, very linear approach to these bomb sites. Pixel was looking for the same angle this time. Samuel was not there. The drone covered. Samuel will pull off the angle. They are just establishing a lot of these long lines of sight, trying to control the verticality of this map. And Oni opens up onto Jimmy. That is brutal. Didn't even get the chance to see his opponent before he hits the dirt. Is going to be on cams for the rest of what is potentially the final round of this map. Potentially the round that needs to be found for Visionary to take to overtime, but it's not a great start for them.
And now you are down a man, and that hasn't gone well for you in the past. You've been able to find these kills and these really close engagements, but if you go down again, especially if Pixel is the person that goes down next, I don't see a way in which Visionary comes back, because last round they did once again lose that opening duel, but Pixel found the 4K and brought the round back for Visionary. But if Oni gets another kill onto Pixel and the ARX is down, we've seen no air jabs go out for Pixel. So it's just, I think a lot of it comes down to that. And Samuel takes out Panic, and another one possibly on the fray. There we go. Badger down as well. Luckily, Abadu getting that retry, but 4v2, a lot has to happen for Visionary to bring this back.
I mean, it is Pixel and Abadu. Pixel is going to find the first onto Oni, but at the cost of so much health. We have seen Abadu be able to clutch up before, specifically that matchup they had last week on Consulate. The 1v3 situation, still managed to pull it out. And with a minute left on the clock, the real question is, are we going to see OT, Pixel, or the juggle peek around the angle? It's going to be Michaela with the long-range contest, and that older jumping onto cams. They're going to play it smart and safe, not overcommit where they don't need to. And the Evil Eye just tagging up Abadu even further, just making it that much easier. RZR, will he swing onto the doorway? Has that information there, or sees the prone player. Pixel just lucky to escape with his life. Continued dump of those stuns coming out, and Michaela threatening death here onto Pixel. If he swings the angle, is going to shut it down. And yeah, it's exactly what happens. Dylan as well. Pryde get themselves the win, 7-5. It looked like there might have been a comeback, but they say no, not today. They take map 1 and deny any points so far in this series, going the way of Visionary.
Yeah, that last round, it didn't come down to a lot of mistakes by Visionary. I think Pryde just played that well, We saw that the Maestro Cam's just tagging that elbow, being a general annoyance. It's able to spot where those last two remaining members were. So that was a close match, a lot closer end result than I thought it was going to be. But great job by Visionary bringing it back, but even better job by Pryde just finally closing it out and making sure they get the maximum amount of points they can get, because they need it for sure.
Rigel, welcome back.
Woo. All right. Well, I mean, I'll tell you, from sitting back, an observer's perspective in that case, it was a lot closer than it should have been. I mean, you have a 5-1 round count going into the second half of a map like Villa, especially when you get the defense and it's historically defender-sided. Even in SCS, it's looking still pretty defender-sided. Then all of a sudden you start dropping rounds like that. I was worried for Pryde, but I mean, in the end, they came out with the win. They got their +2 rounds for that map, and if they continue playing like they did in their attack half, they've got Oregon in the bag, but it's going to be a matter of keeping that momentum. That's my take on it, though. Do you guys have anything real quick before we get the analysts up in here? I know we've
I
got
mean,
Smith and
the
Pond
only
ready.
thing I have to say, it's crazy that we see a map like Villa have two very attacker-sided halves, 5-1 into a 4-2. That's not a situation you see every day.
Yeah, I just did not, like I mentioned before, as you came before, Rigel, that I just didn't expect it to really come through this way. I either expected to Pryde to either finish it out or Visionary to really bring it in overtime and then just win it all the way through. So I mean, great to get the analysts in here because I think there's a lot to analyze here.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, as we get them transitioned, I gotta say I'm a little bit still dumbfounded that the attack did go that well. So I'm hoping that we have Smitten Pond there to sort of clear up a little bit of maybe why that is, because as we all know, it shouldn't necessarily be the case on Villa. But let's go ahead and get them out here and ready and talking. But Panda Rose, thank you so much. We'll see you after the break here for you guys. So. Hello, friends. I see we've got round number 4 on the board here. What you got for me?
All right, I think I can take this one. I believe this is. I was picking our rounds like. Honestly, this was before we got a little bit later into the. Later into the attacking rounds. A lot of overextending on defense. I think that actually goes to both teams. I think Visionary was the biggest. I don't want to say perpetrators of this, but Visionary's peaking everything. Their positioning was just off, and I mean, Pixel, a great player coming in as a sub, played absolutely horrendously on defense, but wonderful on attack. He went 1-6 on defense, and then finished out, I think, with 13 kills on attack. I mean, it's insane. I think he only picked up 2 deaths on attack. I mean, that's something pretty nuts. But something we are seeing a lot of is really bad defensive positioning from both teams. I mean, both defensive sides for both teams has been genuinely atrocious. I mean, both teams have been just over peaking on defense. They haven't gone in for the refrags, and the entry play on both teams has been just absolutely incredible. I mean, we saw Samuel and Rizzer absolutely take over that attacking side. So I think that's one of the reasons we've seen it be a little bit more attacker sided than we typically see Villa. But I think Villa in the upcoming meta is going to be switching more to an attacker side map.
I mean, I would have to agree with you there. Overpeaking was basically the big killer on Visionary, specifically in round 3. Like, there was a strat that was questionable, right? But if you wanted to make it work, it'll only work if you hold your angles, not overpeak. There's a rotate in Vault, right? When they're holding Aviator games, and Smoke just went up there in 90, got killed, and basically just gave up vault control and everything they had. It was terrible. I don't know what it was. I mean, I know what it was. Obviously, it was overpeaking, right? It was just swing or be swung. That's the definition of tier 3. But this is the pure example of tier 3, gameplay. Just swing or be swung, and it just ended up not working in favor of Visionary because every time they would swing, they gave up map control by trying to get picks, and then you're down a man, and now you don't have map control. So that just allows them to push on through. You can't delay the attack as easy, and you're just kind of screwed on defense. I thought honestly that Visionary came on strong in round 1, and from that flawless, like I was impressed. I was wondering why Pryde just rushed in there in China like that. I still don't have a definite answer, but Chief came into chat and was like, it was because they were trying to vet Visionary, see how far they can overextend and just how far they can be aggressive, so they can test out their total limits or their constraints per se. And I'd say it worked out well for Pryde. Visionary just ended up overpeaking everything. It really hurt them bad on defense, making it like a 5-1. That's not how down bad you want to be on defense.
I mean, just to talk real quick, I know Pondy probably got something to say too, but I mean, down bad is honestly the definition of sort of how Pryde's defense was even going as well. Like Visionary, sure, it happened a little bit worse for them. I mean, they did go down 5-1, like you were saying, but at the same time, like Pryde, it was really close to being 6-6 and having to go to overtime. it shouldn't have happened like that, man. You got to be a little more cautious. You got to be a little bit more cognizant of exactly how aggressive you're being and sort of balance that out. You know what I mean? Like you can't go. I don't know. Yeah, I was about to make like an analogy, but I don't think it would be very apt. So I'm gonna throw it on over a pond here, but that's my 2 cents on it anyway.
I mean, I think that it could have easily gone to 6-6, and then gone to overtime, but at the same time, I think Visionary is a lot stronger of an attacking team than they are a defending team. But I think that that has to do a lot with their coordination. I feel like they're a very disorganized team right now. It's just it seems like they're letting players like Pixel kind of go off and do their own thing. I really like Pixel on that flex role where he has that flank watch, but I mean, I picked Visionary to win this game. I did. I expected a lot better performance out of them. I didn't expect them to have as disjoint of a defense as they've had. I mean, their defense genuinely looked like 5 players playing in 5 positions, and it looked like there was no connection between them. I don't know if they got overconfident about the match at all. I don't know if they just decided that they wouldn't have to set up for refrags, but they got, I mean, on defense, I said this earlier, I'll say this again, they just played complete terrible. I mean, they had no refrag ability, they were overextending, over peaking. The team kill onto Badger wasn't great, but honestly, I've done the same thing before, so I can't really judge him for it. But it wasn't good. Jimmy Bucket's next play when he just let the Ash push him on red stairs because of his absolutely terrible positioning, that's something that you can fix. It's stuff like that. And I mean, Visionary on attack, yeah, it could have easily gone 6-6, but it's just been very attacker sided, and they play such an aggressive attack that they are bound to pick up a few rounds, but they have such unsustainable gameplay. Like as we saw on round 9, which is why I picked round 9, they just played super aggressive to begin out the round. They tried as hard as they could in the early round, like we saw from Pryde the first round, to try and, but the first round they did that, and I was a little bit worried about Pryde. I was like, well, that's not the way to start the game, and I was kind of happy because my prediction be right, but they were vetting. They were seeing how the defense would play. It was a bad call, but they made the adjustments. Pryde will make bad calls, or my apologies, Visionary will make bad calls, and then you don't see any adjustment from it. You don't. I mean, they were getting pretty good plays on attack, but I didn't see this going in Visionary's way. As soon as I saw their first 2 rounds on attack, I'm like, yeah, you'll pick up a round or 2, but the defense will make adjustments, and the attack won't.
I hear you, Pon. I mean, I definitely have to agree with a lot of what you said, but I know for sure I've been watching Smith for the past like minute or 2 here. He's definitely got something that he's ready to say. I feel like I know that face, and Smith's about to spit some facts and knowledge. So hit me, my
Spit
friend.
'em, Smitty. Spit 'em.
You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This game really upset me because I'm not a person that likes seeing gameplay of just over peaking and swinging everything. It's not smart. I want to see smart decisions. And if Visionary want to win this, they have to dial it back, way back, and rethink how they approach things or approach how to contest map control. Don't swing. Be smart. Hold your angles. Just don't peek one by one, man. You got this. You got this. I voted for you. I know you guys got this. I don't know why you guys are just swinging. You don't need to swing. Just be you, okay? Be you, and you'll win. Just be you. That's all I got to say.
Gotcha, guys. Yeah, well, we're going to have to see, honestly. I know with Oregon coming up, technically it's Pryde's map pick. Technically Villa was Visionary's map pick, but I don't know what to say, man. We're going to have to see if that's going to be an interesting shift here, and Visionary's going to come back and continue the reign of terror that they had going for the 4-2 map split, or if it's going to be the same way and Pryde's going to take this map. But I know you guys will be there and watching and ready to talk about it at the end. So we're going to go ahead and send it back over to Blue and Rose, who've had time to get their water. You know, they've got their snack breaks in. We're going to see what they have to say, and we'll kick it on back over for map number 2. So, Blue, Rose, what do you guys think? What's going to be the name of the game for this second map? You saw everything that was going on in that first one. You saw it firsthand. You've been talking about it that whole time. What do you think?
I mean, look, Villa and Oregon are 2 maps that are reasonably strat heavy. You can't be going into it completely unawares. So I think we're not going to see the same level of aggression, same level of freedom on the attacking side for Oregon. It's going to be the defensive half that is the dominant.
I mean, yeah, but we saw Villa was extremely attacker-sided. So I think both of these teams really are going to have to adjust. And I think a lot of teams, both you really need to have your stuff. More Oregon. So I think strats are really going to have to come on through, but it's really hard to see who is going to be the team that's going to come on top here.
Well, we will definitely be seeing it now, as I'm going to send you back from the towns in Italy all the way to Oregon in the United States, and we will see you at the end of this map, guys. Enjoy yourselves. I'll be watching.
Wait, you mean it was Tuscany, Italy? I thought there was a Tuscany in the United States as well.
Well, I mean, you never know. There probably is.
They've got a
Right.
Rome, they've got an Athens. I figured Tuscany was nestled in there somewhere.
And they probably don't sell Italian food. They probably don't have authentic Italian. They probably just have a Fazoli's in Tuscany, United States, So in any case, guys, I don't know. But have fun in Oregon.
Well, Light, coming into a map like this, there's a number of opportunities that will present themselves. And speaking of Visionary, they're going to take one of those opportunities, ban out the Thatcher early on. It's an operator that excels on a map like this. There's so much that can be done on a map like Oregon with a Thatcher and a Maverick as well. So we are going to see probably some impact tricking coming out here. I would imagine Cade's probably going to be banned. So there's already the attacking sides are going to have to be a little bit innovative, try and change things up a little bit. And where am I? No surprises whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, with Maverick going off the board, that means that we're going to have to see possibly a little bit more Zofia Ash just going underneath for getting that attic wall open, getting that walk-in closet wall open. Those are really going to be up to just going underneath. Twitch is available, but we hardly ever see Twitch. And actually, no Kaid going to be banned. So Malusi instead. So I think those basement hatches just might be secure because those Kaid claws are going to be really hard to find. We might see an IQ possibly, depending on where these electric claws go, because in certain spots, you're able to get them through the soft floor, but that might mean basement's a little bit harder to take without something like a Maverick.
And it's going to be basement to start things off. This has been the go-to for the majority. For a while, it was a toss-up between dorms and basement. This time round, though, it's going to be basement. And already we see the respect coming out here from Pryde. They know just how impactful that roam game is for a side like Visionary. They did bring a Jackal. They're going to switch it up for something a little bit different. Mikhaila is going to be going back to basics. Brings out the Kali. I'm excited to see this. I'm a huge advocate of the Kali herself. And it is going to be stuck and locked in. Abadu switched out from the mute onto the Kaid. This is going to be a big round. They've got the tools they need to deny that breach. Well, electrification, the denial coming out of the defense. And that long-range CSRX is a wildly powerful weapon. And it's going to be interesting to see if Mikhaila can find those long-range angles, look to abuse it if they do get some of these walls open. On the defense, though, Panic is running the Ella. It's something that we have seen him bring a few times now. There's potential for a lot of damage to be done.
Even when you see something like a Maverick on, Kali gets played so little. Only certain people kind of play Kali. And the person that comes to mind is Bone. That's the only person I can really remember playing Kali because Thatcher is always off the board. And it's very interesting because Kali was meant to be that person to play when Thatcher got banned. But she really hasn't filled that role. You've just more seen, Azafi and Ash just go around and do whatever they can to take out these Mooch Hammers, these Bandit Batteries. And so very rarely do you see the person that their job is to really get rid of these Kaid Electric Claws and all of this Hard Breach Denial actually come through. So it's really interesting because Mikhaila, if they're able to hit their shots, that is just props to them. They're able to take care of all this Hard Breach Denial and take care of all the enemies, but only time will tell.
Look, I'm a big fan of the operator herself. In fact, I've gotten into a number of arguments as to why she is so good. In fact, I got told the other day that she's a crutch for bad players. Nothing could be further from the truth. Very skill-orientated, and at the moment, speaking of skill, it's going to be Badger to open things up with that Nitro Cell yet again, punishing the Ash of Samuel, who really, after that first half of last map, in fact, just kills all over the board. No Kali coming into play. It's absolutely dealt with, and I think at the moment, what we're seeing is yet again, Pryde are gauging. They're testing the waters, trying to figure out what defense is going to be there, broaching this attack trying to see what their enemies are capable of. Not to mention, they're getting basement off the board if they lose this one, so not the worst situation for them to be in. Pryde, they're in a bit of a dire spot. They will get RZA back up, so it's not out of the realms of possibility that they still win this, but with only one drone left and in the hands of RZA, they're going to have to go a bit wild.
Yeah, they can take their time here. You know, Blue Bunker is a little bit more available to take out. They don't have anybody really hard staying in there, but they're really adjusting their attack. They're going more towards Pillar as Pryde takes a ton of damage. That Smugcaster going to do even more as they're going to go under 50 health, and Jimmy Buckets finds Rizzer, but Pryde and Oni they're both going to be able to find a 2v2 now, and it's just some gunfire going all over the place as Visionary's going to have to back up into the site. And now Pryde, they're looking really, really aggressive on the site, but a reinforcement's going to shut off entry to Blue Bunker.
Well, they are going to get elbow open, which means they have split the bomb site in half. Unfortunately, Noni isn't quite there with Dylan at the moment. And Dylan is going to give away his positioning. I don't think they quite know where Oni is. That's why they're not pushing back further into supply. They're just holding their angles, and from here they could look to start translating this into a big push. Oni, if he can find that sliver that they need, and they will start opening up more of the supply, make it that much harder to anchor down here. And you see Jimmy has had to relocate. That's actually an angle that I think you can contest from elbow. But no, at the moment they're going for that same approach. They are going to look out for Freezer. Not that anyone was there, and Badger is contesting all the way down into Pillar. Smoke grenades coming out. Jimmy has to do this largely on his own. Finds the kill on the diffuser, is refragged. Badger caught from behind, but swings around and kills. They managed to take the opening round. That is a huge 180 play. Just gets it, absolutely punishes the Nomad, and Visionary will take round number 1.
Yeah, DPI button got turned up right there, got the 180 flick on there. And so, great job by Visionary, a very far stray from what we've seen in the last time. You know, both of the first rounds of the splits were all just complete wipeouts by Visionary, and that one they had to fight for. And now they're getting that advantage, but as we all know, first round, at least for this match, does not mean that the round and the rest of the map are going to go their way. As we go down to Meeting Hall and Kitchen, we're still going to see that Kali in play. So where could this Kali be in play, really? In certain areas in Meeting Hall, possibly allow this ace to kind of go through.
I mean, so this is an interesting conversation that I found myself having more and more. I've talked to Centis, if you guys aren't aware, is the coach of Akami in the Oceanic Nationals. I've talked to casters in EU, ANZ about this bomb site, whether, you know, the go-to is kitchen meeting or kitchen dining, and the attitude has largely been the same. Kitchen dining is the better bomb site to defend, kitchen meeting is the better bomb site to attack, but there have been these teams who have figured out these dynamic strategies which gives them control over Attic. Deny any sort of push in, you get that verticality. If you can deny Attic, you keep control of meeting for the largest portion of things, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Pixel, he's going to use that Electric Claw, deny that angle. I would imagine we're probably going to have someone playing up here regardless, but in this position he can also get stage wall. This is an interesting setup. That's one Electro Claw committed. They still have that, and a second one should they need it. They might even go for the trick here, but there's a lot of things that can go wrong with this bomb site.
I mean, you usually expect to see something like kitchen and dining, but we're seeing a rush here. Samuel gonna rush on in, and Abed too busy on the cameras. And now Pryde, they already seem to have control of site. Diffuser going down, and it's Badger who's gonna run on site and get taken out. And already 30 seconds almost on the dot, Diffuser down, and Visionary down 3.
Look, this is a bomb site that is so freely punished. Then this is exactly what you're expecting. A flawless round with what? There was 2 minutes still left in play? That is such a chaotic swing in momentum. That is demoralizing to say the very least, but that is exactly how you counter that vertical hold. You just force your way in, you get yourself in that position, start finding the frags. Hell, even Michaela got herself a frag with that SPS MG9, the secondary for Kali. That is a very, very commanding round win that Pryde, they're going to be feeling phenomenal off the back of. They have just taken that round lead back. They've evened it up by force. The interesting thing, though, Mira is still available in the comp pool. We didn't really touch on it in terms of operator bans, but yes, there is a mirror. They're going to switch it out for a Frost instead. As we head to dorms, that's 100%. That is a respect pick coming out here from Visionary. They understand that Pryde are capable of these heavy rush strats. They don't want to be caught out by it again, so they are going to try and slow things down forcibly.
That was the biggest punish I think I have seen in my casting of Rainbow Six. Like that was just absolutely the dominant team won that round right there. Pryde just coming on through the Ash charge there. Nobody, I believe, was even on site. We saw Abadu, who was still on cameras, and it's just Visionary was absolutely not ready, and Pryde knew how to absolutely punish that. And huge mistakes coming out from Visionary, and I think they're a lot more prepared coming out. And I think the Frost pick might be a failsafe when that comes through, you know, putting it down, making sure that they actually hear, making sure they can't just bust on in through these windows. So it's something that Visionary, they're being a little bit more cautious because they, as you mentioned, they know that Pryde is just capable of these bum rush strategies, putting their fist right through the enemy's defense.
I mean, there are a handful of things that make a strategy like that work. 100% confidence in your teammates, trust that they will perform on the back of you, and just clear coordination. Like, I guarantee you that comms were just going off in that round for Pryde. That is just how you should be playing Rainbow Six Siege. At the moment, it's kids' dorms. We're going into round number 3. There has been honestly, there has been more time elapsed in this round, I think, than we thought in the previous. That is just how quick it was. Coming into this, it's kids' dorms. It's a bomb site that can be very, very hard to take, but also incredibly hard to take. So I think there is advantages capable of being gained, but with Oni playing on the floor is lava. It's very dangerous. Jimmy on this roam down to the basement could impact this round heavily, unless, you know, maybe they have someone to deal with it. Dylan is playing on the Nomad. They have that potential of a lockout with the air jabs. It's really going to come down to just how quickly Jimmy can get into position to effect change once that execute comes.
And that patience is what makes a roamer from a good roamer to a great roamer. But Pixel from that top floor able to take out Oni. Don't know how much exactly shots were left in that skeleton key shotgun, but there is exactly 0 left. But Samuel gonna be able to find the refrag onto Pixel. So smoke canisters also gonna go down to 0. So it's a 4v4. Jimmy's still on this roam. There's 2 outside big window, 3 outside actually. And Samuel is gonna be on that floor for his Rizzler's gonna go on and taken out immediately by Abadu, and that's gonna make the rest of Visionary really cautious for jumping in on big window.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slight adaptation on traditional setups that you see. Usually it's that first panel that's reinforced, and then the rest of them are left soft. But this time around, they've opened up the footholes. And speaking of footholes, Panic, he's looking for some featsies that he can shoot away. He has that FO12 in hand. The shotgun, the Polish one, is pretty wild in some of these clutch situations, especially in those tight angles with the Grismots going off. They are going to be slowed down more and more, and that seems to be the play here for Visionary. The more you can stall out the attacking side, the more room you have to work with, and here we go. So, just around the corner is going to be Jimmy. Can Samuel swing and find it? No, just caught looking the wrong way. And all of a sudden, it's a 2 versus 4. Push has to happen soon, and the FO12, that's going to be brutal. Dylan will find a frag. Michaela goes down. All of a sudden, it is over. Panic shuts it out with the final. The FO12 connecting with the chest of Dylan. And that is going to be round lead traded back yet again. Just swinging into the doorway. The punishment of that shotgun is absolutely wild. And there you go. Even Samuel's like, that is absolutely insane. But it's still so close right now, line. And okay, look, I'm not sure if that's BM, but Samuel's, he's made the call. Oh my lord, is that a champion charm in chat? At the moment, there's a lot riding on this, and it's one of those things. You play a bit of the mental game, you talk about trash, and you can undermine that confidence.
Yeah, I wanna touch on Pryde. They seemed lost in that round. They seemed like they got big window open, and then Rizzer jumped in, died, and then all progress just stopped. It seemed like Thanos had snapped and just time had halted because Pryde didn't know what to do. They didn't go for that attic push. Instead, they went for big window, a little bit of armory take. And once that didn't work out, nothing. And I think that's a big slight on them, not being able to really adapt on a site that is really, really key on Oregon, knowing to attack those two primary bomb sites, basement and dorms, are the two sites that you really need to know how to play around. The other ones, yeah, you play once in a while, but just you're not going to win Oregon if you really can't attack dorms. So if Pryde, if they're able to win this basement bomb site, then that's at least you're getting somewhat of that 14. You're securing that. But Visionary, if they win this basement bomb site, they can go back to dorms, and then they'll win that, and then it's a snowball that once it starts momentum, it's going to be really hard to stop. And so I think a lot of it rides on if they're able to secure this round again, which came down to a 1v1 last time. So Visionary was able to win that out. So Pryde, it's definitely winnable situation here for them.
Yeah, not out of the realms of possibility that either team could be denied here in the grand scheme of things. The last time Basement definitely went the way of Visionary. It was a hard push, not to mention the fact that there is a mirror on the board. Michaela gonna take some big damage from a little cell phone, and it's actually Rizza to find the opener. And again, Pixel going down first. Losing out on your smoke that early is brutal. It's your heavy anchor. It's the one to slow things down. And without that on the board, there's that much more work that your team has to do.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of denial, but oh, there goes Michaela with the Cali, not missing those shots. And now Pryde, they've got this advantage. They hopped in the building, they got one, and they just can wait for these peaks to come out from Visionary because they're just being so aggressive. And now Oni's drone going to be finding Abadu. And now there's just the walls start closing in as the deployable shield and the concussion mine should start to go off, which means that the rest of Visionaries should start entering, which is occasion. There we go. Abadu going down. A C4 gonna be able to find one, but a refrag for Samuel. And now it's just an MB7 and gonna find one, but in the end, Pryde, that's a pretty definitive attack for them on this basement site.
Yeah, just trading things back and forth. The sheer brutality of these rounds is showing through. And as we go into round number 5, the score, again, evened up. Close neck and neck. And Michaela did some big work there. I think Samuel just left it to it when that nitro cell came flying over. But at least, you know, able to find the kill on the back of it. We are going to be seeing Basement come back once again. Given that the score is now 1-1 in terms of appearances on the bomb site, it seems that maybe Pryde has Visionary's number. They understand how the defense works. They can get themselves in early, find those frags. So you've got to ask, what is the change? Where is it coming from for the side of Visionary to stop that same thing, you know, happening as it did in the previous round? They want to deny the repeat of history here. They want to get themselves to 3 rounds to start things off. Then they can push for 4. But there hasn't been a huge amount of adaptation coming out of the side of Visionary. You've got to wonder if we could just see a straight repeat of last round.
Yeah, the attacker-sided map, more like attacker-sided match. You know, Pryde winning this, it's just the swap. I kind of expect to see the same thing coming out from Visionary. It's just, what is it about these defensive sides that allowing these attackers so much room to win these rounds? Villa, they won 5 each, 4 on the second half for Visionary. So it's a wonder because these Jaeger nerfs, they haven't gone through. Technically, we are still in the 20-second meta. So it's somewhat shocking that we're seeing so much of these attacking rounds go through. And Oregon, you know, it's less defensive sided, I think, than Villa, but it's something but Pixel, aggressive C4, and why? That's
hey,
my
look,
question.
at least it wasn't a smoke this time. It was a mute instead, but they're doubling down and trying to deny entry into the basement, and then they've cost themselves an operator to try and do it. I think this is Visionary grasping at straws. They understand they're in a position where they lose the series entirely without getting themselves a single point. And from there, they're going for the force plays. They're trying to over-aggress in these situations where they really, really don't need to. A run-out nitro cell is ambitious, and yes, if it pays off, it's phenomenal. But when there's a team like Pryde, who we know are incredibly aggressive and can get into those key positions very, very early on, that's not a risk you want to be taking.
Well, Michaela going down, that is going to make it a 4v4, so if Pixel was able to survive, that would be a definite advantage for Visionary, but in the end, it's a 4v4, and I think I mentioned round differentials really early on in this map. If Pryde are able to come away with these rounds, like maybe they win every single round coming through 7-2, because they really need to even up their round differential. They are -5, and they're tied with Visionary, who is a +3. And Oni going to make sure they're going to get a little closer to winning this round. But they need to start winning these maps definitively, because they might be tied with some of these teams in the standings, but they're always going to be on the latter end. And that can't happen as we get closer and closer into playoffs. They need to start winning these maps definitively, because in the end, yeah, you're going to win the maps, but it's going to come back to bite you in the end if you don't win them definitively.
That's exactly it. And from there, translating those into big advantages is exactly what you need. Just Jimmy and Abadu left. Abadu's going to bring it back close. They might be able to even it up even further, but no. Dylan swings in aggressively. They take down Oni, but he was already so low. At the moment, they've got so much time to work with. Samuel's on the flank from behind. Hell, he even goes for the Vulcan to just add insult to injury here. And with that, just moving closer into the half. It's the most rounds that have been strung together so far. They get themselves a third on the board. We could see Pryde taking a 4-2 half here on the attacking side. This could open up some very, very apparent weaknesses on each team's defensive side.
Yeah, even the Samuel coming in, he's talking a little bit. Last round, going for the double whammy. Yeah, Pixel just straight up, you went for the C4. Didn't exactly work out, but, you know, didn't notice you can get that. Yeah, well, maybe we'll see some possible change up. Maybe not a little bit of an aggressive, crazy C4 peaks coming out from the side of Visionary, but who knows? You know, a broken clock is right twice a day. Maybe they'll get it off and it'll work.
Well, we'll see. We really will see. And with that, you know, we're going into the final round of the half. We are going to see Dorms coming out again. Abadu's doubling down on this mirror, which it's a bold attempt. They're going to position it so it can look straight into the double window. This bomb site has been rather tenuous. Yes, Visionary did win it the last time round, but I mean, close. It was incredibly close. They did lose some very, very key frags. I think the big difference now is they don't necessarily have that same level of security that they did with Abadu playing on the Frost, where they can just, you know, peek through the footholes, kill anyone jumping into that double window. There's that added time that needs to be taken to swing around the window and get themselves that frag. They're also conceding a lot of ground in terms of attic. So they've got to contest in trophy. Yes, they have the castle barricade, and yes, they are opening that wall. But if they lose a frag there, if they lose control of master bedroom, there's no way they can contest attic anymore. They can't contest into trophy. They've got to pull back and play on the side itself. So that's some huge advantages that they could potentially cost themselves if they don't win these initial gunfights.
They're having a really aggressive site extension, and it can work out. You know, Visionary, like last round, they're really going for somewhat of these Hail Marys, and it needs to start working out if there's any chance for Visionary to win these out. And, you know, they're being patient. Pryde is being patient. They're already starting to open up this attic wall, and Michaela's CSRX Lance is going to start opening this all up. That means sight lines are going to be given to these attackers, but no damage yet to be done to anybody. But will Pryde start to get this? Has some damage done to Michaela, not enough to really warrant anything, but Badger and Jimmy Buckets are getting a little bit close to the angles of Pryde, maybe a little farther, and we might see somebody go down, but flirting with death inside of Armory. Jimmy Buckets now gives away their position inside of Armory.
Yeah, and they can start to lock it down. RZA, speaking of flirting with death, RZA is lucky to be alive. So close to the angle there. The drones are in control of attic as well. Open that one up, and from here they can start to push in, start to pinch, start to mount that pressure. In fact, Samuel is going to open up Armory only there as where Jimmy is. No chance of survival. Badger as well. He gets tagged with the SCSRX swinging in. Samuel finishes him off. Panic just not quite going to find the kill at such a long range with the M590. Pings out, finds Michaela. Dylan is on the ground as well. Do we see the swing in? Pixel, this could be a big angle to play. He could deny heavily here. The smoke canister goes out. Will it reach? No. It's not enough. Samuel as well going to go down. That's Panic with this SMG-11 to connect. And RZA, they will get the pick up, but no. The down onto Oni. So it's a life for a life. RZA luckily finds a frag. So it is effectively a 2 versus 2. They will get the pick up onto Oni to make it a 3 versus 2 with 40 seconds left. This This is Pryde just playing their game. They give themselves so much room to work with that execute coming in, and there we go. Rizza, he finds yet another kill, going for the spray with that Vector running out of ammo. Abadu back against the wall, doesn't even have the mirror window angle that he... This is almost going to be a complete shutout. Yeah, Rizza just swings it and finds it. 4-2 half going the way of Pryde. It was a bold play. It was an interesting setup, but it worked against them so heavily that they almost gave that round up to Pryde on a silver platter.
He literally saw the attackers were using that mirror window better than the defenders themselves. And that's kind of how you know that your defense failed, when you're back in a corner and they're using your own utility against you. These Goyo shields, these mirror windows, anything that these attackers can use and they're using, that is just when you know you messed up. But now it's attacking time for Visionary. This is where we saw them start this comeback, this attacking sided match. Is it going to happen, or are we going to see this continual momentum started by Pryde? And they're going to be going over to basement. They're bringing the Clash, the Ella. This is something that we've seen from them, so nothing new. But I think something new is something that Visionary does not need. That's what they've done these past couple rounds, and it has absolutely not worked out. They need to somewhat play their default, but their default play hasn't been great. So it's a catch-22. It's, you play something new, you're not great at it, or you play the default, you know it, but you can't play it as well as your opponents. And it's just stuck between a rock and a hard place. There's so many metaphors, similes, whatever they're called, language that I can use to describe the situation that Visionary is really in. And they've just kind of put themselves there, choice and by not choice, practicing. They haven't had the ability to practice as much as Pryde, and that's something you really can't control. But they're also a team that has been together for a certain amount of time. Jimmy is, I believe, here for Slasher, Abadu, somewhat newer. So it's somewhat in your hands and out of it at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of room for Pryde to work with here. They could find some big rounds, and I think the tools on the board to them coming into this defensive half are going to not only work very well for them, but demoralize their opponents. Rizza goes down early. Big tower, but that's only an Ella. They've still got Dylan playing on the Clash. They've also got the Maestro and the Smoke available to them. So still a lot of stall tactics. An aggressive contest here with the Older. Swinging wide. They do lose the gunfight. Pixel to find yet another one. He has been a standout player here when it comes to the just in general attack for Visionary. They're losing a lot of ground early. They've lost some key players, and Badger, having picked up that Carly, is already starting to put it to work. All of a sudden, with 2 minutes left on the clock, it's feeling very reminiscent of that rush into meeting that we saw early. That's exactly how it's going. Yeah, it's just an absolute shutout from Visionary this time around. The basement attack goes very, very well for them. Both teams excelling on the attacking side.
That was just that was overpeaking and just super aggressive play coming out from Pryde. I don't know if they have the lead to do that. Now, Visionary, they have won every single opening round in this split, but they lost the last map. They went down in the first split. History just seems to be repeating itself over and over again. And going down to basement, I don't expect the same mistakes coming out from Pryde. There's gonna be no Clash unless we see some sort of 6th pick coming out. And it's very, I almost, you can't discount the first round, but at the same time, like I mentioned, Visionary has won all 4, and they've lost almost every single split.
Yeah, and well, coming into this, I mean, it's 4-3. It's not entirely out of the realms of possibility that Visionary are going to be able to bring this back, but I think, again, this is Pryde testing the waters. Like, they are trying to gauge the attack that is coming out of Visionary. We see now a much different approach. They're going to bring the Mirror, sorry, I completely blanked on the name, but the Mirror this time around. They've got the Nitro cells. They're going to bring the Cade and the Goyo. So there's still those stall tactics coming out. They've got, I mean, Mirror is just a wildly overpowered operator on a bomb site like basement, because you can literally be holding into tarps without actually having to be in there yourself. Like, just the information you can feed, especially if you're going for an elbow hold as well. There's just a lot of strength in this setup.
Yeah, but you've still got to play it right. And Ooh, will the Kaid work out? No, it's so close to getting that out. But I don't know if that electric claw width is big enough to really get to Dylan. Dylan, you're so close, and it's so close to working out. But it might have to donate
I've
enough.
tried to fool around with some of these myself. So he is going to have to commit a secondary one. You're not going to be able to make it work. But yeah, there's a couple of areas that you can find the angle. But this time around, it's not going to be enough for Rizza, though. He's going to be playing up in security with that Silence Vector immediately droned out. But just the angle advantage that he's going to have to anyone trying to force his way in. He can really do some damage. Oh, goes for a bit of a jiggle. Support. Oh, no, okay. Nitro Cell onto the door frame. Not the play here. I don't think Rizza quite realizes how much danger he does now as Pixel yet again connecting onto the frag. Jimmy for a bit of a pre-fire into Freezer stairs. Is going to force Michaela back, so that's more information garnered yet again. The Pixel, I mean, he has been a standout fragger for this Visionary roster.
Yeah, I mean, time and time again, we saw on, even though they did lose on Villa, Pixel still had an amazing match, especially on that second half. And on the second half...
He ended map 1 with the best KD in the lobby.
I mean, you're right. I might expect to see that again, given how good Pixel has started out on the attacking side. And about a minute 30, if Michaela is caught out with her pants down in Freezer, that could just mean devastation for the rest of the round, as there's multiple members of Visionary from multiple sides, and there's less members of Pryde to really hold these angles out.
And with time, it's a little bit shorter than some of the other rounds that we've seen so far at a Visionary. As that long free push, it seems. And Samuel on a very deep roam, coming down from White Stairs. He can catch someone out here. Michaela finds the open. Oh, find the kill, but is refragged out immediately. So Samuel still an unknown entity here as he drops down from behind. Gets control of the defuser, and all of a sudden this round is coming apart. Jimmy trying to relocate, Nitro Cell toss, but Pixel's able to shoot it out. Samuel does get dealt with in the end, but it's still a lost control of the defuser. Oni with a double in the round. Jimmy has to desperately get into position to try and pick that defuser up. Has no idea, no information as to where those defenders are. So he will get it with 25 seconds left. He has to find two. Has to force his way in. The shot's ringing out. Give away his position here in light. I mean, talk about insurmountable odds. Two players who have the positional advantage, have the tools they need to stop this from happening. I mean, hard pressed is just one of the ways you could describe the situation.
I don't know if, I don't think you have time to put that breaching charge down, Jimmy, because you still have to find the members and get the diffuser down. It is just not happening. Pryde, so many shots ringing out all over the place. A chaotic 8th round, but Pryde taken away. They're going to extend their lead just a little bit. They're going to take basement the second time around, and we should be going over to dorms unless they want to try their luck on something like kitchen dining, because I'd love to see something like that again. But no, we're going to go back over to dorms.
Yeah, it just makes a bit more sense, honestly. It's, on the whole, stronger than kitchen dining, so you might as well go there, try and exhaust your opportunities, and then you can look to play. I mean, some teams would 100% just go straight kitchen dining, look to play that out. If it doesn't work, they can revert back to dorms.
I mean, we saw kitchen meeting the last time, and we saw how well that went.
It's an interesting bomb site. I'll give you that much. But coming into this, it's going to be dorms. They've got the mirror once again. Look, in all honesty, I think Ubisoft probably needs to make the change that lance coming out of the Carly sniper does affect mirror windows, but at the moment it's not the case. Realistically, look, what's your opinion of that? Like, should a lance coming out of the CSRX affect a mirror window?
I think it makes sense. It makes sense.
Like, yes, if you hit it on the gas canister, not if you just like tag it in the top left corner. But like, you have to hit it there. Like, surely that should be the play.
It makes sense because it explodes on both sides. So technically, given the parameters of the gadget, it should take out the mirror window, and it would be the only gadget besides Twitch that would really allow you to take out this mirror window without exactly putting yourself in harm's way. And you still got to peek it with that mirror holding it. And you know, you aren't able to shoot them, and it gives a little risk reward, and it also gives a counter to Mira, who is one of the most banned operators in the game, in ranked, in high competitive siege. So I think it would give a little bit of a buff to Cali, a nerf to Mira. I think, and both of these things are needed, but I don't know if we'll see that for a little bit of the time being.
And they are just going to head straight onto the balcony outside of Master here. We're not going to see the same mirror positioning on the defense out of this defensive side for Pryde. And Samuel, he is going to be the first casualty of war. Attic was open wide. He was tagged with that TSRX. He's up on the building supplies, so he might be able to pull himself back, drop down the hatch, and that's exactly the call. In fact, he's going to head all the way down to the basement. Rizza is going to... So, good awareness to be able to have that set up, and Badger not going to be able to find anything there. So Samuel will still be alive to help play out the rest of the round. In fact, it's now a dual roam downstairs. Michaela is still in Attic, but you see the way they've set things up. They've got the mirror window in kids here. This nade, oh, that's going to be big. Bounced off the door frame, and Michaela goes down. Unfortunately, Maestro and frag grenades just not having the greatest of times at the moment, and only pushes in. Samuel there to cover. It means they can get the pickup once again. So 2 very low players with a minute and a half left to play, but no one dead or out of it just yet.
I have no idea how Visionary is the first person to go down, and it's Pixel. You saw 2 injures, but no secures, and your top fragger for the entire match is down. You've still got smoke cannons, you've still got C4s all over the board, a Maestro, and it's just not good, but finally, a frag grenade's not going to injure, it's going to take out Dylan, and now Visionary, they seem to have control of games, but the C4 wants to put an end to it, as it's going to find nothing. And it seems that Visionary, now they're going to have to attack whatever do, but a flank coming through, it's only going to take out one. And now Visionary, they have the man count, but Michaela and Rizzer, Michaela on very low health and Rizzer not in the optimal position. They're going to have to put an end to this, but Rizzer going up. Those white stairs going to be able to take out Badger, Michaela as well. And suddenly Visionary, they're behind it. Abadu does have the diffuser, and they've got 30 seconds, but Visionary, this is not the situation you wanted to be in. You had the advantage.
We've seen Abadu clutch up before. Can he do it? No. Rizza is the one to deny. And with that, we are moving to match point once again here in favor of Pryde, who are looking to shut out this entire series in a clean 2. I say clean. It was 7-5 in the first map. There was potential that they got taken to overtime, but this map, it's not even close. 6-3 at the moment, looking at a 7-3 shutout as we go. We are going to head to meeting. Surprise, surprise. No, dining. Okay, so it will be dining. We are going to see that bomb site, believe it or not, make its first appearance here. Well, with the mirror on the board, I think, again, this is going to be a very, very...
I think it's definitely possible that Pryde come away with the win here, but I think this is definitely a round that you can give away, that you can give over to Visionary. Because after this, you've got that site reset. You've got the ability to, I believe this is, I don't know if actually this is the reset, but so the choice to go over to dining might actually not be the play here, because this should be, I believe, if going off what I'm looking at, this should be this reset round that all these sites will refresh. So this could be somewhat of a surprise pick. You know, this is the first time we've seen it, so both of these teams, especially on the attacking side, might have a little bit of a struggle going up against it. So that's, I don't doubt Pryde, because definitely they've played the surprise angle well. They're winning. They've outgunned Visionary so far. I mean, look at Pryde or Oni and Rizzer, excuse me. They have got that 11 of 22. And if you look at the rest of Visionary, they are really struggling to catch up to the rest of these two.
Yeah, both of them sitting 11-5. One assist going the way of Oni means they're slightly ahead of the game. But you see Pixel has largely been shut down here by Pryde. They've respected the fact that he is a key player in this attack, and both halves respectively for Visionary. As we get things underway, some last minute, site adjustments being made here for Pryde, as they are going to look to try and shut it out off the back of this round. Drones going in. They want to get control of small tower, because that verticality can start coming into play. But I mean, you look at the grand scheme of things, there's no breach denial coming out. So it means that Abadu can try and open up that wall into dining. The big question is, can he do it securely? That is what you need, especially given the frags that have continuously been found here by Pryde. Nate being cooked by Panic. Can he slot it through the gap in the drone hole? And he will. He'll just land it. Destroys that Vulcan shield that was in L. But unfortunately, off the back of it, Pixel is the one who will... I think that was RZA connecting with the TCSG. Just puts Pixel in the dirt. In fact, Samuel is going to be the one to try and confirm. He does. He's going to do some damage, but not enough to finish off Panic. Luckily, they had yet another player there. Jimmy is going to be the one to do it, but you look at the damage already done. The Nitro Cell follow-up, not quite good enough. It's so close. These very, very important frags almost being lost out. They almost lose Panic. They almost lose Pixel. Luckily, they get Samuel back, but I think at this point, the damage has already been done.
Yeah, that run out could have secured the entire match, but Samuel, that just happens sometimes. You can't hit your shots in that bright Oregon sun. It just happens. And now that's going to allow Visionary to get that man advantage and the wall open.
That's an interesting setup. They tried to get the washroom wall open with the exothermic, but they weren't able to, unfortunately. At the moment, Pryde, they're starting to lose some health to the chip that is coming out. This Visionary roster, RZA in a great spot, could do some real damage from White, but the pressure, the players coming in, doesn't have a Nitro. TSG, Flash is going in, Evidu is going to go for the plant. Can they stop it? There's 5 players on the board for Visionary. Threats from above. Nitro Cell goes out, but it's not a toxic canister. Follow it up, and the plant will be put down. And all of a sudden, a post plant, it's a 5 versus 4. Jimmy finds one. Pixel finds yet another. And all of a sudden, it's just coming down to the wire. Dylan will find a frag onto Pixel. Almost find. And things are getting closer and closer through the rotate, but is dealt with. And Abadu will be the one to shut it out. Visionary, they get them on the board. Light, we could see a very real possibility that's out once again, but unfortunately, like you pointed out, that's the reset of the bomb site. They're going to be able to go down to basement should they choose to. And the way things have been going, it's not been the greatest of bomb sites for Visionary.
I liked in that POV at the end of the round, we saw Abadu miss the shots 3 times on the stagnant castle. And I'm guessing they're yelling at their teams, definitely don't watch that, because that's shown off to all of SCS. But Abadu's definitely made up for more than that with their definitely round clutches and their ability to get these walls open. That really allows Visionary to get in the side. I mean, we saw from the top of Small Tower opening up that dining wall. I haven't seen that before. That you're able to really get it from the top, and it allows for a vaultable wall, and that's really, really interesting. Great job by them for somewhat doing that, adapting, but going down over to basement. This is the round to win here. You've got all the setup, you've got the Goyu, you've got the Kaid, and you've got the Mira, all operators that extremely influence this bomb site for your direction. You can't overpeak. That is your hindrance here. If you're overpeaking, being too aggressive, that is where you will fall. And we've seen it time and time again from Pryde. And that is really where these rounds that they've lost is it just come down to themselves and their mistaken Visionary. They're not even able to capitalize extremely. They're just, Pryde is just playing sloppy, playing these really funny and wacky angles that just, you see in ranked games, but they haven't really been able to do much right here.
Yeah, and we see some changes coming out the way of Pryde on the defense. There's no smoke that's going to be holding elbow, so it's going to be all on Michaela. Their ADSs are coming in late from this, so they do have some support, at least in terms of utilities, and now they that very aggressive hold, as we have seen time and time again. Mira in play, 3 Nitro cells. They're going to have to win their gunfights because they don't really have the stall capabilities as you would expect from a Maestro or a Smoke. Even the Goyo is only so effective. With this underway, there's already 40 seconds, burnt. There's Badger, he's looking for those long angles once he could stall the momentum, or at least hinder the momentum of the defenders. You look at the bunker setup, there's a lot of presence downstairs. Samuel, he's going to be the only one off site right now, playing the Vigil. We'll see if he can do anything with that heavy roam. He's been largely quiet on this map so far, but this flank could get him back into it with some real mean.
Yeah, this is the calm before the storm we have. You really get to see any attack by Visionary. We do see Panic on these back stairs, just trying to take somebody out in Pillar. It's not going to work out, but this is really the only engagement. But Pryde swinging out, taking Panics, and now one more frag grenade is not going to be able to be used. as now it's the push into blue bunker. Rizzer finds Pixel, and Michaela behind the Goyo Shield, not gonna be able to do anything as Badger is able to find Michaela. Now it's a 3v3. Visionary just waiting outside of sight, wanting to go on in here, but they are gonna have this man advantage. 2v2 left.
Only gets one, but he's refragged out by Badger immediately. I don't think they know Samuel's coming down the big tower stairs. Dylan, aggressive swing by Jimmy, takes him down. And all of a sudden, it's all on Samuel in a 1v2. Do they know where he is? Jimmy is going for the plant. Badger is low. They've just got to hold these close angles here. That's exactly what's happening. Close angle and supply. K1A, can it do it? No, Badger with the secondary. The SPS MG9 gets the kill and takes us even closer to overtime here. Badger really stepping up here in map number 2, has found some very, very influential frags. And as we head to the end of regulation time, it is currently 6-5 in favor of Pryde. Can they push it over the edge? Can they repeat that 7-5 scoreline that we saw in Villa? Can they deny Visionary any points this week?
I mean, things are looking almost the exact same. That Visionary, winning these last 2 rounds, they seem to have the momentum going into the last round, and then you think they'll win it and they'll push on through. But do not doubt Pryde. Do not doubt their ability to win this final round. And almost the exact same strat coming out. We're seeing a Valkyrie this time around. So another C4. There's 4 C4s going to be on the board for Pryde. But will they get good usage is the question. You could have 4 C4s and exactly 0 kills on the board if you don't use those correctly. But Pryde, so far this map, they've been able to use those pretty well. But this is the last round. They definitely want to get those 3 points, because 6 points, they've already gotten 3 from their round earlier, absolutely boost them way, way up into the standings and definitely secures them a little bit of safety for the time being from stepping out of playoffs.
Yeah, this is... I mean, it's going to be interesting. If both teams manage to win a map here, it wouldn't be the worst situation in the grand scheme of things. I think at the moment, with the round differential, Pryde, they are... I think if they trade round wins, I think Visionary just maintains that lead a little bit, because there is 1 point difference at the moment. So if they can get this, if they can get the OT, it wouldn't be the worst situation for them to be in. But with 4 nitro cells, no, only 3 nitro cells. Samuel has brought the deployable shield in the end, so it's still 3 nitro cells. Hell on a nitro cell call center from hell, whatever. Nitro cell bonanza if you're the man, the myth, the legend, chief himself. But it's really doesn't matter if you can't make good work of them, if you can't translate those nitros into big damage or even the frag, ideally. There's really no point in bringing them in at the moment. They're all holding in the same area. 2 in Boiler, 1 playing in E-Box. Badger is looking for the shots with that big CSRX. Can they connect? Can they find the head? No way to get a nitro cell that deep out, and Michaela might be the one to do it, as the push up from elbow does happen. Gonna be swinging, goes for a bit of a pre-fire, pings out that there are more than just the 1 player there. Unfortunately, they can't quite find the angle they need to. It's that CSRX, they don't want to risk standing too close to the line of sight, and Nitro Cell was ripped, but it's still an ambitious angle to try and find anything. There is a player just on the outside of the doorway. They might be able to find Jimmy, but I don't think they have any way of knowing that he's there for sure.
So much tension going on, just sneaking on up. Samuel, the slow peek did not work there. They were able to see your head, but Rizzer not even able to do any damage to these attackers. And as Pryde, luckily they're able to get a C4 kill onto Jimmy Buckets, but Panic, their frag grenades have been able to be thrown and doing an amazing job tonight. And now that's allowing so much more access to Pillar and this north side of site. They've got a lot of time on their side to really push on forward. Michaela, if they're able, that's a nomad leg, shoot it. There we go. All right. We're not gonna be able to yell at Michaela for missing that obvious kill. Now a 3v3, a 2v3 now, as Michaela's gonna go down.
Yeah, maybe the new tarps that Oregon is bringing in, they've gone from blue to camo at the moment. Panic has the bomb site. They've also got that wall into Boiler open as well. Oni, they don't have the mirror window facing in their favor. As Orr swinging out with a Vector, just escapes death as he rotates all the way into Freezer. But now largely locked out. They've only got two to one option, really. That mirror window was popped, so they can contest. But plant going down, Abadu has it. SMG9. It's All right, but at long range, it might not be enough. Dylan does find the frag, but he is killed out by it in the end. Oni has been given the room to move up. Plant was stalled out, and Badger is going to be the one to have to do it. Swinging in from behind. Oh, can he line them up? He gets pulls back, pulls out the secondary with the knife. Shuts it down. It wasn't even. Oh my lord, Pryde just denying OT. And that has to be crushing. There's a big sigh of relief coming out of the Pryde roster now, but Visionary, they were so close to OT. My lord, Oni, holy cow.
The melee kill, the shotgun was out of ammo, like, oh my god, that was such a chaotic, crazy ending, but it seems to be such a fitting ending for such a really, really close match.
What even was that? What even was that? I'm sitting here all of a sudden, and then it comes down to a 1v1, and they're just like shooting around each other, and then a knife. Like that's some of the okay, that's nuts. But sorry, Blue, I think you were about to say something. I just had to.
Look, that was only 100% making a mistake, not realizing that the secondary was out of ammo and still somehow pulling the rabbit out of the hat. Luckily, Badger was forced into a reload, didn't have the option. Moments away from, you know, absolute disaster and being taken to OT and potentially losing out on the map. 275s, that was a hard push coming out of Visionary, a very, very solid performance, but my lord, it could not have come any closer coming into the end of the second map.
Oh yeah, that was a close call on both ones, but I'm sure Pryde is very happy to see that they got those 2 maps in a row, and we've got somebody who can actually help us out with those, you know, feelings of happiness after that game. It's going to be Mac here coming in from Pryde, the Cali player herself. No camera, unfortunately, but how are we doing, Mac? I know we can hear you.
Pretty well.
Pretty well. All right. Well, I mean, you just pretty much cemented yourself in the top 6 for this week, so I'm going to hand it over to Blue and Rose. I'm sure they've got some questions for you after that one.
Look, there were a couple of very, very standout moments for the team. You guys obviously must be feeling good after pulling out 2 wins rather than being taken to overtime. But look, I'm not going to keep you too long. There's two moments that I want to focus on. Number one, the meeting hall kitchen attack, where the round was over before we hit the 2-minute mark. What was the call made at the start of that round that initiated the rush?
Just rush. There was no just rush. Simple.
Fair enough. A simple answer for a simple, like, it worked. It absolutely blew them out of the water. And then, look, coming into the end of that second map, the moment that I'm most focused on, regardless of how the 1v1, what was the call that was made? Like, what was Oni saying as soon as he realized that his shotgun was out of ammo?
Oh fuck! And then just knife.
I mean, honestly, that's as good a reaction as you could expect there. I mean, that's a freak out moment and a half. You're almost to go into overtime, and oh lord. All right, but Rose, what do you got?
Both of those maps were so close to going into overtime. Was there anything that momentum-wise, because we saw, you know, Visionary, they won in both maps 2 rounds going into the final round. Was there anything motivation-wise, strategy-wise, that really went into those final 12th rounds that kind of helped to push over the edge on both maps?
I mean, I think they started to come back purely through tempo, and we just had to figure that out and give ourselves a mental reset. I didn't do too hot today, but I did have a bit of a vendetta going into this, so I definitely did not want to bring it into overtime.
That's definitely a fair point. Now, I believe that was any kind of I was trying to think, because I was gonna mention Slasher, but I know Slasher was a player on Visionary. Were you prepared for Slasher at all, and did that kind of make it a little bit easier going into this match?
The only thing we really prepared for was Villa. We did counter-shot, like you saw on the round 1, we went for a rush. That's because we did try to counter-shot it, and then Sam says, well, I ran out of mousepad. And the entire team is joking, saying we're just having to give them round 1 hope. And then we cut the half, 5-1?
All right, that's I don't know much more about you, Rejo.
Yeah, I've really only got one question for you, Mac. I know you as a player, I've played with you quite a bit, and I've drug you down and ranked quite a bit as well. So I know you've probably got something to say about your future opponents, your current opponents. If you want to shout anybody out as well, it's on your team, support staff, fun stuff like that. You got anybody?
As far as it goes for shout out to the whole team, especially Grave. Like I said, we only went over the counter shot for Villa, but Grave put in a lot of work. There were times where he was falling asleep at the desk because we're kind of overworking the guy, but huge shout out to him. Huge shout out to Sam and Riz, of course, for being our goated ass entries. Huge shout out to Dylan for being my cam buddy. I've never thought I'd be on cams ever in my career, but apparently I have now. And obviously a shout out to Oni for never being tilted. That guy, like, steel mental. As far as it goes for future opponents, I'm looking forward to games. Like, as soon as I was put on my roster, I was looking forward to every upcoming match. And for current opponents, Panic should not have talked shit 2 weeks ago.
Hey,
All
look,
right.
yeah, there was definitely a statement made in that matchup denying overtime both times round. Your players are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, okay, so I do have one more final question. The Kali, that's a bold choice. A lot of teams would, just opt for the standard workarounds when a Thatcher's banned. You guys have obviously put a lot of thought into bringing that into operator lineups. Is that because, one, you're just that comfortable with the operator, or is it because you see that it can provide an advantage and you want to make that happen?
I just main Kali. I just like it.
Simple answers. You gotta love it. It's just I like the operator. We made it work. We've done it. That's how you guys pulled the win out in the day. Like, it's good to see.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. I think that's pretty much going to wrap up the interview for sure. We've got Pond and Smith. They're both waiting to get their 2 cents in here. I know they've got a lot to say, but Mac, hopefully we see you on Theme Park. I want to see another hatch drop only on the SCS stage. So
I'll try.
Okay, fantastic. And we'll see you guys next week for sure then. But
All right.
Panda Rose, thank you guys so much for everything today. As usual, you guys have been phenomenal. I seriously look forward to every time I get to Desk Coast with you guys. So with that being said, hopefully we get scheduled together again later on this week or next week. We'll see for sure. But let's go ahead and kick it on over to Smith and Pond. Let's give them their time to shine here. And especially after some plays like we just saw at the end, they've got some nuts things to talk about. So Blue, Rose, we'll see ya. Smith, Pond, come on. Whatever you want to call it. I was gonna make a Phasmophobia ghost joke, but I ran out of time and I didn't know what I was talking about because I've never played. So, but in any case, you guys have appeared on my screen. Oh wow. Okay, we got round 2. You guys talk about it. Stop laughing. Stop laughing.
If
Oh
you
my-
wanted to make a Phasmophobia joke, you could have just said we appeared on the screen like a ghost haunting. But
Okay.
it's fine. It's past the due
It
date.
should have been that easy. It should have been that easy, but it was not. So I'm sorry.
I'm letting Smitty roast you right now, honestly.
So the key thing over here was just the rush. It was basically the same thing that they did in week 1. Actually, we've seen this type of rush before, where I think it was Renaissance versus Pryde. I'm not too sure on that one. Correct me if I'm wrong. But in week 1, these guys just straight rush split, took control of site, planted, easy claps. That's where Pryde. That's where Oni. My bad. Oh, I'm having a chief curse right now. Oni, he clutched up with an ace. So when you see Pryde and you guys are going Oregon and you see that these opponents are going meeting, obviously you know this could be a rush. So be prepared. It's basically you just gotta be prepared for it, no doubt, because these guys are unpredictable. They swing, and yeah, preparation is key.
It's the prophecy, honestly. Like, the prophecy always goes true. If you're going, if you're defending meeting and you just don't like expect the rush from these guys, like, I don't know what you're doing to prepare. I know that you really want to counter strat people, but like, if you're not expecting that rush coming up because they've done it twice now, both times very successfully. If you're not counter stratting that and you're just like going into it like holding meeting all willy nilly, not focusing on lobby, like you're gonna get clapped. Like, there's like I say that word a lot, but like I don't know. I've got a lot of thoughts about the way the way defense is played on the Visionary side. I don't even think I really have any thoughts that are different from that first game. I mean, overextensions, pixel terrible plays on defense. I know that its defense is a very holistic thing. Like you need to be able to defend together. On attack, you can have some more hero plays, but on defense, it's more of like holistic team based. It's not showing on the screen, but the play that comes to mind that kind of just sums up their defensive play is Pixel running out of Big Tower to throw that C4 and immediately got killed.
Yeah.
That's a player down for already like that'd be a dumb play to play in like low silver lobbies and ranked. Like that'd be a terrible low silver lobby ranked game, and you're playing competitive level. Like yeah, it would have been really cool if it came off, but it wasn't. It was just a careless use of your life, and like. It's plays like that it's like if he lived throughout the rest of the rounds, like this could have gone to overtime. It's like plays like that where it's like such a close game later on. Playing carelessly, it just doesn't bode well.
Oh, I'll bounce right back off that, Smith. I'm sorry. I'll let you talk in a second, but I just had to say it's those kind of plays, honestly, that Pryde is a really good team. They're going to put in an effort no matter what. They're going to go and try and hit their heads, and a lot of times they will hit their heads. But, you know, if you give them an opportunity to stay at that man advantage and not have to come back, it gives them an innate like chance at winning already. Like whereas if you keep that man up and you maybe get an entry frag on Mac or Sam, who are some of the impact players for Pryde, I would say too, or Rizzer especially, that's a huge detriment for them. Like that's just something I had to mention. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, not to sound like a broken record, but these guys, it's basically the same mistakes as it was last match. Just over peaking, overextending, doing everything you can to like do everything wrong. I'm just gonna put it bluntly. Like these guys were pulling out all the stops on just doing everything wrong. I'm not sure if Pixel is trolling or not. I genuinely can't tell because I refuse to believe that there's a person out there who makes the same mistakes over and over again and continuously gets punished so many times. I just refuse to believe it. There's no way.
I think that's really only on the defensive side. I really like him on attack. I mean, he brings it back on attack, but I don't think I've seen like the biggest duality of a man that can play so well on attack, so well on that Nomad, and absolute just garbage on defense. Like I know that that's a little bit like mean or harsh for me to say, but it's such a solo play for such a not solo position. You're playing that smoke and mute. Like
Right.
it doesn't make sense to me.
I was about to say too. I mean, this game isn't football. I mean, you're not playing only one side of the game. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be like a defensive end or something like that. You're not going to be a quarterback. You're not going to be able to just stick on one side. You can't just say, "Nah, take over, man. The half's over." You gotta show up on all sides of the game. So I mean, hopefully they're listening to the analyst desk right now, and I can tell because they're all sort of going back and forth in our Twitch chat right now over who's a better shooter. But in any case, I hope you're listening. But definitely just work on both sides of the game. That goes for honestly everybody in the lobby right now because I think there's like a couple plays that everybody made here. I'm not gonna just single it out to one person, but everybody could have done just a little bit better in some regards. And I think the majority was just the over aggressiveness, like you guys have been talking about.
Yeah, and one more thing I wanted to touch up on was and it was on what Smitty had said is like sounding like a broken record. It's the point that like nothing changed from Visionary there. Nothing. They didn't change anything. They weren't making adaptations. If they were, I didn't see them. And Pryde was constantly trying to improve the way they were attacking, the way they were defending. I think that Pryde's attacks were wonderful. I think their defenses became better as the rounds went on. I think that their positioning was very, very well done. I think round 9, the 2v3, I remember I saw it in the analyst channel and somebody called out like, oh, it looks like it's going to go Visionary's way. And I called it as soon as I saw it. I said, nah, Pryde's got this. You got a guy flanking. You got a guy playing dorms. And I think their positioning as well. I like the way they like kind of play off that, but they make those improvements. They make those mid-round improvements and those improvements round by round. I don't see any of that coming from Visionary, and that's something they're going to have to fix moving forward.
It really hurts. I'm not gonna lie. I feel really disappointed in Visionary. Like in my mind, Visionary it's so much better than this. They are like like that first time where I forget the 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago they had a game and they were going absolutely bonkers. It was amazing, and then they're losing. No offense, Pryde, but you're losing to Pryde, man. Like you guys have played.
Oh
No offense,
no!
Pryde. Like I said, it's just that these guys they've gone against better teams, right? Or at least higher in the standings. Why are you losing to Pryde? Why are you not fixing your mistakes? Why are you making the same mistakes? I can't wrap my head around it. And
I-
like it's not them. It's not the Visionary I'm used to seeing.
I think Pryde is a greatly rejuvenated team with the addition of Mac. I think Mac has added a whole bunch there. Mac wasn't the greatest statistically tonight, but Mac had a lot of impactful plays. Mac is able to make some calls. I think that Mac is a pickup. This is a new Pryde we're going to see, and I want to see them moving forward. But yeah, that wasn't the Visionary I used to see. That was just terrible.
I mean, Mac has brought a lot to the table. I won't doubt that. Like I was really impressed with her ever since I first seen her on Pryde. It was going well. It's going well for her. And it's currently going well for her, and I'm glad that she got the victory, and Pryde just got the victory overall. It's just that Pryde, Visionary, man. I can go on and on about it. It's just they should have won this. Like they threw hardcore, especially Pixel, especially Pixel. But I won't go on about that. I won't go on about that.
Oh, you guys are good. I mean, it's definitely something to talk about. I mean, you guys are the analysts. You're definitely looking deeper into things here. And oh my lord, what a shot that was from Badger. I just saw that pop up on the screen, so I had to mention it. But I mean, in any case, though, yeah, Mac, like you guys were talking about, such an addition to the team. And when she's not making impact plays, she's getting baited like Goria and is able to get information to or baiting or not baiting, but getting baited. Wait, hold it. That didn't work out. But in any case, she's getting the intel to her team one way or another. Getting refragged, which is very very important. But overall, I think all these teams in SCS, honestly, we're getting to the point where we're getting to week number 5. All of the VODs are available, guys. They're all out there, and I'm going to shameless plug the YouTube. Look up the YouTube channel. It's been posted literally everywhere, but every single VOD from every single match this season has been posted out there, so that you have no excuse not to go on there and just look. If you're going to play somebody, at least sit down with your team and sit there for an hour and go over some strategies. It's worth it, guys. Like, come on. It could prevent some things like this. But in any case, I don't really have anything else much to say. Smit Pond, we have like a couple seconds left. Any closing comments? Anything you guys want to say?
For all you team analysts out there, check out the YouTube channel. Seriously, it'll help you guys out a lot. Prepare for your next matches to come. You'll be able to spot patterns and all that good things, all that good jazz. Just use it. It'd be definitely helpful if you want to continue to win and climb up the ladder of the standings.
Definitely.
Pixel, I still love you, man. I don't mean to rag on you as much as I did. It was, yeah. I still love you, man. just being harsh. Just being harsh.
So you're still gonna kiss the homie after this? It's not gonna be like a breakup situation here.
I think you might be a little bit upset at me.
Oh,
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, unfortunate, but all right.
You and
guys.
I both.
Yeah, there was some hot takes going on in this analyst test, but
what I'm here
all right,
for.
guys. I think that's going to be it for today. But I'll tell you what, guys. Tomorrow is probably going to be one of the most hotly requested matches of the entire season here. In Control versus Redux Rising. So 2 of the top teams from SCS this season so far. So definitely do not miss that. It's going to be coming in same time as today at 5:30. And we've got 2 full series to go on tonight. So come on back. And my name is Rigel. For everyone else here at SCS, Pond, Smit, on behalf of the entire team, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys again tomorrow.